No. Ah, there we go. I was like, hold on. I was trying to look because normally when I for the last few months as I've been doing these streams, I've been just going up straight to my Streamlabs thing and clicking these buttons like this, clicking them with my mouse. But that's cringe. Okay, I got to do my nice epic hacker keybinds, which I'd set up a long time ago but I'd forgotten. So I just tried doing my unmute one, but I accidentally full screened a bunch of windows and it didn't unmute me and put me here. So but I did find it though. So I am, can you tell I'm a tech guy? I know how to use the keyboards. Hell yeah. You know what's really terrifying though is that I think there might come a generation one day that actually won't know how to use a keyboard with all this damn swiping and touchscreen, all the stuff that Zoomers are doing. There's no input. Shut up. There is input. Okay, I'm doing massive input right now. I'm doing so much input. You can't handle the amount of input I'm giving you right now. Late by 1 millisecond. No! No! A single millisecond. No! Can't have it. Well, thanks, Citizen 17. Well, I tell you what, it looks like the other 16 preceding citizens were late, it seems, because Citizen 17 is the only index citizen here right now. How are we all doing, by the way, before I start roasting you guys? You guys all got your nice crowns today as well. YouTube chat has once again endowed the chat with crowns. That is great. That is fantastic. Well, what was that noise? Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear that sparkling sound? What was that? Am I just hallucinating or did I hear a sparkle? Was that from Twitch or YouTube or Streamlabs? Hello, Sonic Curb. Is that a play on the word Sonic and Kirby? It better be. I am cold. Me too, Rock Lobster. But can rocks or lobsters feel cold? That is the question. How could you be cold? You're cold-blooded anyway. You're supposed to be cold. And rocks have no blood at all, so they're supposed to be cold too. Unless you were molten. That wouldn't be so good. Sonic Curb is not based on the name Sonic Kirby? Oh, another incorrect guess. See, I'm so intuitive. I know everything about you guys just from reading your names. Curb was just added for no reason. Righto. Fantastic. Been a nice rainy week. Awesome. Sparkling sound. Yeah. So I heard a sound that was like a sparkle. I don't know what the hell that was. I think it might have been from Twitch, because I think when you type in my Twitch chat for the first time, I think I have only just noticed now that it makes a noise. I don't know. Maybe I am crazy. I am not crazy. I know it made that sparkling sound. Cold as heck. Man, it's cold for everybody now. It's a cold month in Los Angeles right now, isn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty cold too. But I like cold because I get to dress slightly nicer. See, I'm all nice and bundled up and cozy now. And I can do this, and it's nice and cozy. But in summer, good luck. No, I gotta wear like short sleeves, and I don't like short sleeves. Speaking of summer clothing, Gabby's wearing some summer clothing here, I guess. I wonder if does Gabby get cold? So I heard a noise again. What was it? I keep hearing noises. What's going on? Is the day come? Have I finally lost it? I don't know. But anyway, Gabby hasn't lost it. So I've been doing more editing this week. I'm just going to do a quick progress update on the video. I've been mostly working on the website and admin stuff, so a lot of boring tax documents. So it's not really, I can't show it, and it's not really fun anyway. But I've been kind of busy with, because I think the end of the financial year is coming up, so I'm trying to get preemptively on top of my tax return before it's due, just because I like doing stuff early. So I've been trying to get that out of the way, but also trying to make progress on the video, and the website has come a long way too. As for the devlog, I've finished now clipping all the stuff related to the modeling and rigging, like these little bits I was working on the last week. That's all processed and finished in terms of cutting out the dead parts. There's just now extracting the extra good bits and assembling them into a coherent timeline. That's the only part left, really. But I was able to automate some of this process because I think I showed you guys last week. I was going through this manual process of clipping all of this stuff like this, where I would do little clips, go through the timeline and clip out dead air in the waveform. I found out, though, an automated way to do it that's helped speed things up a lot. It's not as good as doing it manually, but it's close. And then I can then do manual adjustments later. But what I've been doing is I've been using, this is like the one good thing about using Adobe Creative Cloud, because I've never been a big fan of Adobe Creative Cloud. I like the old school Creative Suite. That's what I like, but it's illegal to use that now. So I've been using Creative Cloud for a while, and a good benefit that wasn't here in CS6 was the ability to auto-transcribe video. And I kind of knew this was a thing for a while, but didn't trust it. And I was like, there's no way that would actually work. But then I actually tried auto-transcribing and then using the editing filters like pauses or filler words, which you can do here in this menu. And it'll select all the pauses in the video and the filler words, and it can cut them out for you. And I was kind of skeptical. I'm like, I don't know, man, this sounds too easy. And everything that's always too easy is usually bad. But it actually kind of worked for once, which was pretty incredible. So, yeah, so that's helped. See, that's the noise again. Did you guys hear that? Please tell me someone heard that. I just heard that sparkling sound. I think it's this YouTube thing they've done. I think I'm narrowing down what it is. Freaking this crowns thing that YouTube chat is doing. I think it makes noises. I don't know. I keep hearing it anyway. So, as I was saying, what was I saying? God, that just threw me off. But yeah, so auto-transcribing, which actually makes it easier. When I go and assemble all of this in one big timeline, it'll actually make it much more coherent to edit as well, because I can just read the video. And that's kind of a weird thing. Maybe I'll talk about this later, but I've been like reading a lot more lately instead of consuming, okay? And reading is so good, okay? I don't know why everyone is so afraid of reading. Reading is incredible. And so I've kind of worked that into my editing workflow here, or I can just read my videos instead of having to because I read faster than I can watch it. Like if I go and watch all of this, I have to wait, the video has to buffer and I have to actually listen to the thing. Whereas if I'm going by the transcription, I can just read keywords and stuff. Like I can skim it and go, oh yeah, this part. Oh, I know what this is. The hair. Yes. The rig. Yeah. And I can just from a glance instantly know what part of this is. Because it's nice to have, because there is just so much footage in here. Like this little clip, this is a 9-minute. This was, I think, 12 minutes, and this is now down to 9 minutes. But this is one of all of the... Hold on, that's not even all of them. On my little sidebar here, there's all of this stuff. Like, that's the amount of clips there. There's a lot. There's... See, that's that noise again. Please tell me I'm not going mad. I keep hearing it through my headphones. You can't fool me, YouTube. I know that you're making noises. I know that chat is trying to make me hallucinate sounds. Please tell me I'm not the only one that hears that. Anyway, so there's all of these clips from now these were, for those that don't know what these are, these were all recorded over many months as I spent making Gabby's model. This was my daily rants on I've just finished modeling her knee and it's such a pain type stuff. That's all of what this is, all of that stuff. So there's just a lot of it, because it took, I think the model itself took about 6 months, and then animating it took maybe 3 or 4 months. I don't remember the exact distribution, but I think the overall total process was about 9 months while doing YouTube as well. So it was part-time 9 months doing all this. But it's had lots of benefits, and I guess because that's all I can really show you for the moment. If there is a lot more about Gabby's model that we'll get to, but in terms of the video stuff, that's kind of that's all I can really show at the moment. But there's more that I can show somewhere else. So I'm going to close Premiere because I think that's all the video stuff. I'm going to open Gabby's model file and show you something cool. Or actually, do I want to show that first? Actually, I'll show one thing first and then something else. And then I'll show this. Hold on. Blender's just freezing. Every time I open Blender, it freezes. Is that the same for everyone else? I guess pretty average Blender experience. All right, so let's close Premiere. Let's get out of here. And I don't want Streamlabs. Close production. Exit. So, what is this? What is this I have open? Well, that is correct. I finally using the correct IDE now. I'm using Visual Studio Code instead of Visual Studio, the full thing, to work on this website project. And at the moment, I've made some improvements to some things. I'm going to try and see if I can show you how it's shaping up. This is how it's looking at the moment. I don't have anything on the home page yet. It's just welcome. So I'm going to have to put in something here eventually. But there's content now. I've been doing content management. And I'm going to open one of these because this is stuff, and you'll notice that the date on here is like back in 2023. So these are all posts that I actually wrote as well during this whole procedure that my patrons have seen, but no one else has seen. And because I'm making much faster progress on this site at the moment, so it actually might be quicker in the meantime I still haven't published this yet because there are some issues with the organization and the links and the slugs and whatever they're called. Like the way it's organized with URLs, it's very disorganized still. So once I get that organized and I know that, okay, I'll definitely be using this format for the URLs. Once I settle on that and get the source control to work, then I want to start hosting this thing. And I don't think I'll be able to have it all done, but I want to be able to have at least some of it browsable in the near future, the very near future, so that you can read some of this stuff. Because some of this isn't like, probably won't make it in the video because it is overly technical, but it's cool nonetheless. So I've got a lot of like in progress screenshots and goals and like here's what I'm struggling with and stuff, and images. And yeah, so I wrote this ages ago, and now I'm able to put it on the site because you can't really post this on YouTube because YouTube doesn't let you embed images. Like YouTube, the posts thing on YouTube is terrible. Like the type is terrible, the paragraphs are too wide, the font's too small, and you can't put in images. So I'm just having it on my own site. See, I heard that's that noise again. It's an even louder ring this time. Did you guys hear that? I don't know. Like, what is that sound? Anyway, it keeps distracting me. It's like the Pavlov's dog response going on here. So anyway, but you see how it like, not only can I control the font size and stuff so that it isn't a pain to actually read stuff, but it's also in this nice, cool little layout that is like customized and has soul and isn't some boring corporate social media layout or something with just white outlines and curved bezels everywhere. You know, this is like kind of cool. So the thing I wanted to show you though was in the little corner here, this isn't finished, but I have a little render here, just as like an example header image. And now I started sketching a version of this last week, but I've since used Gabby's model as a potentially what could be a candidate for this header, because I want the header to have personality. But I don't want to over-embellish the design with images, because a lot of indie sites do that, and it does make it distracting and unreadable, because a lot of the time they put the images, because it would be so cool, and then if I had a picture of a PSP in the corner, that'd be awesome. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's cool for the first 2 minutes, but after like I start reading stuff, it's kind of a pain, because it's in the way of other things, and it's distracting. So the styling I've been very deliberate about, where it's like, I want to have like this little side bit here, like this space on the side is like, that's got all the style and images. And then there's a bit of styling on the background, but it doesn't take up as much. And then the rest of it is like purpose-built utilitarian. And then like, you know, the trims have some decor and the colors and whatever. Like there's that nice little trim around the sidebar here and stuff. But it's not like, I'm not like putting random images all over the website for no reason type stuff. So that's kind of how, that's why it took me a while to figure out the layout and to like decide, because once you do have it, it kind of changes. Like it's something you really got to get right, because if you don't, it doesn't matter what you post on the site, because no one's going to want to go to the site if the layout is trash. So I've tried my best there. There's that noise again. I've noticed it just happened when a new person, I think, joins the Twitch chat. I think that's what's going on. I just saw Cosmic type, and I heard the bling. I heard the sound. Is this some new like Twitch, Amazon Prime gamification thing they're doing? I don't need a constant dopamine hit for each chat message I get. Okay, I don't Twitch. Is there a way I can? I get the feeling that's what this is, but I don't see any settings. Yeah, see, you guys did it. Okay, Twitch chat. You guys make a nice sound every time you type something. Actually, maybe that is going to be helpful, because there are less people on the Twitch chat, so it's easier to read, and I get a sound whenever you leave a message. So that actually might be handy, so I don't rant too much. But that's interesting. When did they add this? I just want to see if there's settings to control the sound or something, because it is quite loud. Okay, I don't see a setting for it. But anyway, as I was saying, but yeah, just I don't know what I was saying, but I was going to show you this little bit, because you might wonder with this whole thing, because one thing you'll probably wonder after this video is done, or maybe you're thinking it now as I've been making this video, it's that how the hell can you have so much footage about a character model? How can you have so much to say about a character model? How could you make such a big devlog about a model? And that's because it does a lot more than just being an in-game model. And this is I think I might have shown some of this here and there, but I want to show you the works, because I was really proud of how this came out. Because part of the thing as well with this is it's used for a lot more than just an in-game character. It has more uses than just being used in-game. So I've got this little timeline here of renders that I've been using for a while. So some of this I've actually used on my merch, which you can link. We should buy, link down below, by the way. I'm going to type that manually and link it in chat for you, so you can buy one of these renders. Store.RaymondCripps.com. So I think just about all the merch I've got on my site right now, the newer ones using Gabby are from these posed renders of the model. And that's why this is so awesome. And that's also why it took so long, because you have to make a model that looks so good that it can pass for a hand-drawn thing as a render, not just in the game, but if you were to look at a picture of it on the internet or something, you would actually be tricked into thinking, oh, someone drew this. And it's like, well, no, actually. So I've got here the soy points. So I've used these on my thumbnails as well. So I've got the Gabby pointing, going, oh my God, look at that. It's the vegan chicken or whatever, the meme. So I've got, and because it's a model, I can just move stuff. And if I decide, I don't like how this pose came out, I can just make changes. It's really cool, actually. So that's why this was so much work, and why there's so much payoff, because you can do stuff like this. So I was doing some, for the site header, for this little thing here, right? I was doing some experiments this week, and I was like, all right, well, I'll try a sitting pose like this. And I tried this out, and I wasn't quite happy with it. And then I tried another, which I still wasn't quite happy with, because she looked like she was hunched over, because I wanted her to look like she was sitting on the sidebar. And then I tried another, because that's the cool thing, is that you can just try stuff, and it's way faster to just pose it like an action figure than it is to try and draw out all the, the shapes and everything, and to draw it by hand. Like, there is a time and place to draw things by hand, but when you just want, like, I want it to be in this pose, and I don't want to have to, like, draw all the details and stuff. It makes it a lot faster to just do stuff this way. So you can see here I've got two different iterations of this version of the pose. I think this one, because I had started posing it without the suit on, because this suit mesh is actually separate. So what I will do, if I want to make a render, because I try to make it look good just with the actual proportions of the... So normally the rest of her legs would fill out here, because it's like you want to make the pose work just normally, and it's easier to see in wireframe view when you don't have the armor in the way of like her knees and stuff. So I try to just do it that way first, which is why her arms are in a different spot for this one, because I didn't account for the knee pads. Where'd the suit go? There it is. And then, but I hadn't edited the head and the face. Like this is her facial expression from her idol, and her hair from the idol pose. So I copied that over from her in-game idol, where she has this sort of stern look. But it looked kind of not right for this. So I made a bunch of changes to the face and the hair to look good from this angle for this render. And you can see the amount of, like, this was an insane amount of work to get all that working, right? But you can see how, like, it looks like, it's like, oh, that's incredible that you can just like make the facial expression different, and they both look kind of decent, but one of them looks like this looks okay, but this looks even better. And it's like, whoa, like, you know, you got all the strands coming out with like a nice silhouette, because there's a lot of weird like trickery that goes on. If I can find the, I've still got a lot of like mess in the file to clean up. But if I turn on the bones on the rig, there is a lot of like special bones just to control the hair. So you can see that I've like posed certain strands. And if we do a 360 here, this is my favorite part to show. This is awesome. Check this out. Isn't that cool? Like, oh, I just love doing that. So you can see that I've done some tricks with the hair where I'm actually pulling and twisting strands out that look weird when you look at it from any other angle, especially in wireframe. It looks really weird from any other angle, but from the angle that the camera is at, it looks quite good. That's kind of the point of these, is that it has to look good just from one angle for these renders. In-game, it's a bit, I don't really do this for the in-game animations, but for the renders, you can kind of go more crazy with it, because you don't have to worry about it looking good from the back as well. You can just focus on one camera angle and pose the hair so that it looks good from this one angle. So that's part of it anyway. But yeah, very, very fun. Hair fluffified. That's right, Gus. It's the floofy hair. But that's like a huge part of the look for, you know, you can see in this little bit here, I've tried to like move bits of the hair around and test it. But that's like a big part of the look is kind of that stuff. It's that intentionality. Because, you know, this is okay, but it isn't floofied, right? It isn't fluffied. It doesn't look intentional. Whereas this, it's like, oh, it looks like someone deliberately chose to draw it like that, even though they didn't. It wasn't drawn. And that's what's so cool about it. So, you know, so that's been some cool, fun things I'm able to do, having, you know, made this model the way I've made it. And if I want to, like, you know, if I decide, actually, I kind of want the head at a different angle, I can just go and move. I want her looking this way. Or if I want the, want her eyes looking a different way, like there. It's just like so fast. Like, yes, it took a while to make, but not only does her in-game look better, like when you play as her, but also making renders is so fast. So that's more thumbnails, more sticker designs, and actually this would make a good sticker design. I'll have to put this on the store next. You guys could have your own little sticker of her sitting like this type thing. And yeah, it's really, really iterative. Really iterative. God, I can't speak. But yeah. So yeah, you can do quite a bit. But of course, if you do it too extreme, it'll look kind of, it'll look a bit, you got to make sure there's certain rules and ways you should pose it. Doesn't mean you can do every pose, but there's certain, you know. So anyway, so that's sort of how, like, that's sort of what it's like to make renders. Now, for special renders that get seen in more places, I will do some like post touch-up in Clip Studio Paint usually, where I will, if there's like little issues with the shadows or the lines, or there's like a glitch with the line work or something, like I will paint over that over the top in like Clip Studio, but it's still underneath it. It's still from the model, for the most part. Now, for whatever reason, okay, there we go. I almost crashed Blender there. Lucas says those little arc system techniques make it look like it's hand drawn. Yeah, man. See, well, that's why it takes an hour to explain this in the video, because there are so many techniques. But when you do get them all, this is what you get. It's pretty cool, in my opinion. I keep hearing those noises again. Those big, loud But no one, but Twitch chat's frozen. But I keep hearing these sparkles. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's if a new viewer joins or something. I don't know. Cosmic says already a significant improvement over the original blog site. The new design seems to be more inviting. Thank you. I don't know what you mean by the original. I don't really have an original blog site. I do have an original personal site though, that doesn't have a blog really. Unless you meant like the game site, which kind of has one, but it kind of doesn't. Like it might as well not. Because my current site, see, that's that noise again. Maybe it is YouTube chat doing that. Maybe it's both of them actually. Oh, you know what it is? I think it's frickin' Streamlabs doing it. Oh, I think it's, I don't know. Because you guys can't hear it, but every like few minutes I hear this loud xylophone sparkle, and it's kind of distracting. I don't know what anyway. So my current site, it's like a boring portfolio site, but it's like most of you probably don't even know that this exists because there's not really much to do. All of these are just ArtStation links to other things, and it's not inviting, at least in my opinion. And then I think the other one you're referring to is I've got the game site. So the plan is I want to merge these both into this site. So I'll do a bit later because see, that's that noise again. What is that? Anyway, so the plan is to merge the Feline site into this one. And at the moment, I just wanted to get the main theme. Like this is my personal, the Raymond theme, I've called it. This won't be a higher priority at the moment because I want to get just the content in there and working first. But once I do that, I want to try and quickly make up a Feline theme that will be applied to articles pertaining to Project Feline. So you see at the bottom here, I've got tags Project Feline. So anything that's relevant to Project Feline will be tagged with that. And I want to try and find some kind of way with Hugo I'm using Hugo and Obsidian to like construct this thing. And my plan is to try and find some way with Hugo to like, apply a different theme depending on the tag or something. That's going to be that's going to be at the end though. It's not really like as important because now that I've got a theme, so that's fine. But a bonus would be if it also was like a tech, sci-fi type looking, brushed metal looking theme with the Feline color palette. But the current game site as it stands, it's just a landing page mostly. It has some brief, there's that noise again. It has some brief character bios, but this page is kind of lame. Like it's not, I don't know, I'm remaking these at the moment in the new version, and then it does have a new section, but it's so unappealing because this is just using the Wix template. It's like, it sucks, like the look sucks, and there is no like actual way to really follow this. So the other thing I want to try and implement is some kind of I want to re-implement like a mailing list of some kind in this. I do have I recently made a mailing list on this version, but it turns out the way that Wix does mailing lists is kind of weird, where it has a limit of how much you can send or whatever. So I want to try and find an actual like good mailing service to handle this with, because I don't really understand how Wix does it. And I want to have some kind of thing where there's multiple tiers as well, where it's like how many types of do you want just major updates or everything types thing. So I want to put something like that on the sidebar here, and some kind of RSS support. Because like me personally, I've been looking into RSS lately. And like moving away from like consuming on YouTube and just using like RSS only. And I know this might sound a bit boomer, but I had a premonition that RSS is going to be the future. Okay, I came to me in a dream, and I have to do it. I'm not going to explain it further than that, but I have a premonition about social media, and it makes me. I have an overwhelming urge to implement RSS into this thing. So the thing is, because I'm a Zoomer, I'm not supposed to know what RSS even is. So I'm trying to figure out how it actually works and implement some kind of thing for that with this, so that every time I post something, you'll be able to read it on an RSS reader or something. Lucas says, I have no idea how to make automated, but you can create different classes and have different styles. Well, yeah, so I've got, I do have a style sheet. Excuse the mess at the moment. There's a lot of mess right now. Because I've just got a bunch of old archive posts in this folder that I'm going through. And this is a bunch of just work in progress screenshots that I'm going to put in another folder. But if we go to, I think it's themes. Pretty sure it's in, no, assets, styles. So here are my current, I haven't really touched this since last week. Maybe I have. I can't remember if I've touched this since last week or not. But I've got a bunch of my own little classes here and stuff to organize things. There's still a bunch of like dead code that I'm 90% sure I won't need, but I want to like back all of this up somewhere first before I go and start hacking things off. But I know what it's all for. So like I can read this still. So yeah, there's a few classes in here to like style things, and the plan is to make another CSS sheet for the Feline styles that's based on, it'll use the same layout, but it just changes. The idea is it should be simple enough to use the same layout, but it just changes out the trims and the colors and the fonts, and that's it. Like that should all, that should be all that it needs to do, right? Like instead of having this sort of leather trim, it just changes it out for some metal trim or something, and like some other image file. And then it just changes the color palette, which is all, I think I've stored all the colors in variables, so it should be quite easy actually. Yeah, I've got the palette just stored as variables, so I can just, in the new theme document, just swap these out for the Feline palette. And that'll change all the colors for this and the body. And then I've got a font variable as well. So I'll pick some different font for the Feline segments. Because the cool thing as well is that there's going to be like little bits of character bios and stuff as well. So some of these are actually not exactly accurate. So if you're reading some of this, don't get alarmed, because a lot of this information is from my personal files, which I haven't published. So, because I do have another backstory project that is sort of like in the background from when Gabby was a child, which is why it says that she's 11. She's not 11 in the game, but this is from the backstory document pile, which has slightly different information. So there's still stuff I have to update there. I have to update it to be like, because there's a bunch of broken hyperlinks as well. And that's just from I've been doing a lot of writing stuff lately as well, which we'll get into a bit later. But but yeah, so the idea is you can have, I'll see if I can find do I have a character bio that doesn't have spoilers in it? I guess this one. So here's Felix's character page. And here's another cool thing too, by the way. I figured out how to do the thing I said I wanted to do last week, where some of the posts I have will have dates on them, like these blog sort of areas, but other posts won't have dates. So I figured out how to do that finally, which is awesome. So I can have just singles pages that are just informational, where it's like, oh, here's Felix's stats or something. Or his backstory. So I can have stuff like that here. Now imagine this, but in the Feline with like trimmed metal on the sides and a blue and white palette instead. And like that's sort of like that, to me, I think that'd be cool. It's like, oh, browsing this would be freaking sick. You know what I mean? Like that, yeah. So at the moment, it's just the default theme, which I think it is still nice on the eyes, but I want to have like different themes depending on the project type stuff. Anyway. So that's sort of how. So I also, by the way, I switched to VS Code instead of Visual Studio, because Visual Studio is slow. And it occurred to me that, because I just was using Visual Studio because I had that installed I think you need to have it installed for Unreal for some reason. And I was like, oh, well, what do actually people use to write websites? Because now that I've got all my content in here, in Markdown files, editing Markdown in Visual Studio is a pain. Like, it's so annoying. So I was like, what do actually people use? And they use VS Code. So I quickly installed that. And it is pretty good. It's actually really, really fast and responsive and clean. I like it. I'm also, so I guess to edit this, I'm also using Obsidian. So how do I want to explain that? I'm going to see if I can open my Obsidian vault. Actually, do I want to open that? Because there's a lot of spoilers and stuff in it. And I don't know if it's organized well enough for me to hide what I need to hide. Actually, there might be a section that will work. Oh, no, I won't open it. Because there's some sensitive info in it, but I have a screenshot I can show. Just give me 1 minute. It's in my previews folder. I do have a screenshot I can show. 1 sec. So this is a graph view of some stuff in my... For those who don't know what Obsidian is, by the way, been using this for the last couple years. It's like a note-taking app. I don't want to call it an app, but that's what they call it. Okay, it's a flexible app for your private thoughts or whatever. So what I've been doing for the last couple years, I've been using this to sort of organize lots of things. I've been journaling with this thing. I've been organizing like my plans and schedules with this thing, and I've been using it also to write content for the site. As well, and just random blog posts and whatever. I've been doing this for a while, just because I haven't had anywhere to put them, so you guys haven't seen them, but it's really cool because it's all done with markdown files. So you can just edit, it's basically like text files, which is sick. What the files will actually look like. This is how they look like in Visual Studio. I want to open it in Obsidian, but I've got like some sensitive stuff in there that I can't show. So I'm just going to show you in Visual Studio for the moment. But I think there is like a preview... Okay, I'm still learning the interface here. There is like a preview thing. At least I thought there was. Where's the preview window? I know that one of these buttons is meant to be some kind of preview thing, but it's not doing it for some reason. I tried it this morning and it came up with a nice text preview of this post. I don't know what, anyway. But this is how it looks like the actual file. So this isn't like, oh, it looks different because it's in visual. No, like this is actually just what it looks like. So this is like what some of my writing is. This is how Markdown looks. You can straight up just open this in like, if we go to, is there like a reveal in Explorer? There's no open in Explorer button. Seriously? I guess we'll copy path and I'll open this in Explorer myself. But you can open these in like Notepad. It's ugly in Notepad. You don't want to look at these in Notepad, but you can. And that's what these look like, right? So, but it's better in Visual Studio because it's dark. And then in Obsidian, it's even cooler because it actually just looks like normal text. The way it looks in Obsidian is actually more close to how it actually looks here. So this is how it actually would look in Obsidian with like just normal text. So the way I've been doing it is I've been writing these posts in Obsidian with Markdown with like preview on so that I can just see the styling. And then I just take the files from that and I want to try and find a better way of organizing this later. Maybe I can make the website itself the vault or something. I don't know. I'll figure out something. But I take those Markdown files into my site because Hugo is designed to use with Markdown. I just take them straight in there. And then I just like run the Hugo command to compile the site and it turns it into a web page, which is pretty cool, pretty damn sick, if I do say. And all of this just works. It actually works perfectly with 16 times the detail. 16 times anyway, you get the idea. It just works. That's the benefit of having a fully dynamic website, all of it. Well, actually, it's a fully static website, technically. But it all just works. Wait, there is a reveal in File Explorer? Hold on, I didn't see it. Open with... Oh, there is. Okay, my bad. Because I was looking for the word open in Explorer, but it says reveal in Explorer. See, I'm looking for the word open. That's why I didn't catch it. See, I don't like when these companies do this, when they start renaming. I just want open in Explorer. I don't want reveal. I want open. Okay, that's the wording I like because it's less letters. Okay, that's what I like. But anyway, so that's sort of how that's been going, I guess. I don't know. There's not really much else to say, but it's been going good now that there's actual content. The only problem is that it's disorganized as hell. So you'll notice that some of these posts have nice titles and some of them don't. That's because these are old archived blog posts I'd taken from my Patreon. So there's a bunch of these you can read right now if you subscribe to my Patreon right now, which you can read. Because what I do every month, I will just write up a huge, here's what I've been doing this month. And the posts are usually quite long. So this was one from recently. And you can see that there's multiple different subjects. There's multiple different stories in this one post of well, this is me this month. I've been doing more things on this. I've been working more on this. And also this happened. And also this happened. And what I realized was, oh, you know what I can do? I can just split these into different posts and upload them throughout the month. That would be, because I already do that anyway. It's really fast. It literally takes me maybe a couple hours to write all that. Way faster than a video. And it's oh, well, I can just write these as separate posts instead of just one. So I've been going into my old posts from 2 years ago. I have more that are even older, actually. But I've been going through these because these were also these used to be combined with other stuff that was all one, and I've been splitting them up into their own ones. So I've got a devlog update and a model update. And this used to be just one post, but I've split it up into two per topic because it would just make more sense. So you can see that some of these have the same date on them, for instance. So, yeah, so just that's sort of what I've been doing. I've just been splitting it and recataloguing it. Which is quite easy to do. And then there's also a bunch of, you might have noticed as well, there's a bunch of metadata on these, which I'm adding. And that basically helps me organize this. So I have a slug name, which is basically that's going to be the actual URL that this article is given. But then I also put it underneath this. So it'll sort it by year, month, day, and then Gabby Mark 3 or something. That's how I'm organizing. I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but that's sort of how I'm doing it right now. So you'll notice that the URL at the top, it's 2023 1002 Gabby Mark 3. And it just automatically will apply that to the page with this metadata. And then I can give it tags in here, the date it was written, and the title. And then the actual substance of the post is just normal text. But that's the cool thing with this sort of, I think this is some other format. I think it's called YAML or something. But Hugo will know what to do with this to turn it into organized content, which is freaking heckin' awesome, if I do say. How do I reset the zoom appearance? I've zoomed out too far. There we go. But yeah, that's about it really. I've never seen that. I've seen show and explore and open, but never reveal. Yeah, I know, right? See, that's why I like when they just use one word for stuff, you know? It just works, says Satirical Snake. A legend. Indeed, a legend has said that many occasions. Edowian says, I like how simple Obsidian works. Me too. It does just work. I keep okay, no one's typing anything, but I keep hearing these sparkles. Is someone doing a prank on me or something? I'm just here reading. Chat is not moving. And I'm hearing spells being cast through my headphones. And it's hold on. Is there a button you guys are pressing that are sending me sounds? Is that a magic wand button somewhere that's making this happen? I don't know. Guys are being sneaky on me here. So that's how you put the date on some, but not all. Actually, not exactly. There's a bit more to it than that. So some of my posts, I'll see if I can find is there a post I can go that won't spoil the game? See, there's that noise again. I think it's happening anytime someone joins, says Sonic Curb. Oh, maybe. No, okay, I see it. No, I see that, guys. I know that isn't it. You guys spamming the confetti emojis in YouTube chat. I know that isn't it, because when you do that, it doesn't make a sound. There's something else going on. I don't know. See, this is why I want to make this website in the first place, because all these platforms, they keep changing stuff. It's oh, well, this week we're going to make it so that there's a leader. We're going to gamify it so that we get little crowns on the chat. And then next week we're going to make it so that on one of these sites, we won't tell you which one, but on one of them we're going to play a sound for no reason. Like, and next week, oh, gee, I wonder what it's going to be. And it's like, can you just stop changing stuff? I just want it, like, that's why we need websites like this, okay? The stuff that just doesn't change. That just is like, all right, well, this works and it stays the same, you know? This is old man yells at website. I know, I'm getting old. Shut up. But there is a, hold on, there was a thing on that point. See that damn noise again. Oh, it's driving me crazy. I don't know how to mute one of these. There's no mute button for it either, so I just have to put up with it. God, it makes, you know, it's no wonder everyone's got ADHD now. If this is how the social media is going to treat me, it's going to just play noises at me every few seconds. Anyway, so the I forgot what I was trying to find now. I forgot what question I was answering now. The social, see, they're deliberately they're brain rotting me right now, and now the brain rot's got me, and I can't remember. I can't form a coherent thought anymore. Now I've forgotten all my programming skills. I don't even know what this is. I don't know what I'm looking at anymore. What is this about? I have no memory of this now. I sincerely forgot what it is I was trying to find. It was like how to get the dates to show. That's what I was trying to answer. Where was it? Let's go. I'm gonna go to Felix here for a sec. So these actually do have dates on them actually, but they don't show in the site, because it actually, even if I took this out, it wouldn't matter. I think I just left this in because it was from some template. But the idea is actually, when you take this off, it'll just put January 1 instead. So there's something else I've realized you have to do to get this to work. And that's that when you go to, I've got to remember which folder it's in. It's in like themes. No, it's in, it might actually, yes, it's in themes. If you go to like layouts, and I think it's in, yes. So the way it works is by default, these are the templates it gives. Well, I've modified these slightly, but it'll give you templates of like list and home pages and singles, which are a single is this, a list is this. That's basically, and there's a bit more to it than that. But what you can do is, I realized, if you make a folder, because all of my posts if you go to content, they're all in this folder called posts. And what you can do is you can make a folder called posts in layouts and give anything in the posts folder its own single and list variants. So if it doesn't have that, it'll default to this. It'll go back to the default, but otherwise it'll use, the thing for our folder, we have a post folder in our layouts thing, so we'll use whatever is in our corresponding layouts folder. So on the posts, I've got a date in there, but on the default, I think on the default one, I took it off. Yeah, so on the default one, I just took out the date, but on anything in post will have the date. So that's basically how I did that. Pretty cool, actually, quite simple. Let me reset zoom. There we go. And it just works. It just works. And that's freaking awesome. Awesome sauce. As the kids say. And that's and it's the similar thing here with the updates or the list, because I've done the same thing for lists, where if I go to let's say character. So this is a list as well. This is just a list of posts. The list in this subdirectory will not put dates on it, but any lists in the posts folder will have the date next to it. So that's how I was able to do that. Now, the thing is, this does look kind of lame. So what I want to do eventually is make it so that each of these posts is like a nice rectangle that is like fun to click on. I don't really have an example to show, but imagine all of these as like buttons or like menu items, like in a video game or something. Like, you know, when you're, I don't know, the Dead Space had a good UI. If we go to like imagine, this isn't not exactly what I'm gonna do, but imagine for a moment that each of these posts in this list, instead of just being a dot, you know, an unordered list like this, imagine if each of these had like a outline button, like it was like clicking on one of these things. Like imagine each of these items, it had the title in like big fonts with this cool outline around it, and then underneath the big text, it'll have the date. That's what I want to do for these, so that when you hover your mouse over it, the outline changes color. And because now that I know how to do CSS, I know how to do that. It's just a matter of actually being bothered to do it, which I haven't. I've been kind of busy with other things for the moment. But that's kind of how I imagine like browsing it, where you hover your mouse over it and then it like highlights or something. That's because, you know, it's easier to click on stuff and it's just more pleasant on the eyes. Because this is not pleasant on the eyes, because if you look at the way it's all aligned, all of the titles, because of the font I've chosen for the dates, it moves, like they aren't aligned on the same row. So if you look at the word project, it like keeps shifting left and right across the page, and it's just kind of annoying. So I want to have it so that it's all like lined up. You know what I mean? So that's going to be maybe something I do next with the styling. But now I know I've been mostly just focused on organizing and like making it functional and that sort of stuff. So I've got a bunch of other just random things I've written from over the while of other cool little developments that weren't really worth making videos about, that I've just got in here. So hopefully when I do publish this, there'll be a lot of stuff to read. A lot of cool content to consume. Oh my god, it'll be so cool. Sonic Curb says, want me to rejoin and see if it plays the sound? Yeah, I guess sure. Try that out. It has kept playing for the last couple minutes though. I don't know why. But we'll give that a try. Henrik says, project is amazing. Wish you the best. Thank you, Henrik. I wish you the best too. Is the can I look at the website, or is it not done yet? It's not hosted yet. It's still like in progress. I think the plan is I'll probably publish it when it's still in like it'll still be under construction when I do publish it. But I want to just get this part of the website is kind of my main priority. I want to get this part functional and organized. And then the rest of this stuff, like all the lore or whatever, like I'm going to like not put that on the site yet. It'll be like under construction when I do put it up. So it's soon though. I think probably my guess currently, based on how things are going, I would imagine by next week I'd be able to have something up, but it'll be just one part of the site. It won't be fully functional, but it'll be functional enough to like browse some stuff on it. Just because like some of the stuff will take a bit longer to organize, but once you do it, it's like done. You don't have to like maintain it after that. So there's a few things I want to look into still regarding hosting and source control, because I didn't realize this. I thought source control was just for game projects, but apparently you can use source control for websites, which you'd think I would have known, but again, I'm not a programmer, so I didn't really think to do that. And it's maybe for the best, because this is a huge mess right now. So what I want to do is I want to figure out how to make a organized repository out of this that is set up properly. And apparently what I've heard that people do is they then use the repository to send directly to like the host. I've heard that people do that. So they host it on like GitHub or something. And then with their hosting provider, it just gets the GitHub repository and hosts that publicly on the site. That's what I've heard of, but I don't understand what any of that means. That's just what I've heard of. Because again, I'm not a programmer, so I'm just trying to like kind of LARP as a programmer and pretend, kind of like pick up on the lingo that they use and kind of learn it subconsciously type thing. So I want to investigate that instead of just having it in as a folder on my computer that isn't being backed up properly. Because I don't know, it like in terms of the browsing experience, it won't make a difference, but it means that if I ruin the website, I'll have a fallback, which is always good practice. So if there's anything I learned from the game, it's that you definitely want to have like source control done. So I just didn't know people did that for websites too. So I want to try and do that, but that's the kind of work that is not glamorous, but does take a while to do properly. So it's just what that'll probably be is just lots of research, trial and error, having, commit problems with Git or something. That's probably what it's going to look like. So it might take me until next week to figure out how to do that. But then once it's done, right? So, and it's like probably necessary as well. So sorry, I just got something in my eye. MetaWolf says, quickly stopping by to say hello. Hello back. God, what? Sorry, I've got something in my eye. Some guy says you can use source control for absolutely anything that isn't large amounts of binary data. That is very interesting that you say that. Because, like, the one thing I am currently using it for, which is the game, has large amounts of binary data. It has maybe the largest amounts of anything I've done, so that's quite interesting, actually. I host my Obsidian notes on GitHub. Interesting. Maybe I ought to... I don't think I want to host all of my notes on GitHub, because I don't want GitHub knowing what I write about. That's stuff I keep to myself. But I think for the website stuff, I want to investigate what the right thing is, because I do have a subscription to Plastic, which I'm using for the games repository. I don't know if it's appropriate to use that as well for this kind of thing, or if it's something like, because I've heard of GitHub, but I haven't really used it. But yeah, I guess importantly, just whatever is like the cheapest that can keep the repository private, so that, people don't mess with it or something, and that, that works, that I don't have to like learn a whole new programming language for, preferably. That's kind of what I don't know. That's what I think ought to be my requirements, but maybe there's other stuff I have to look out for. So I don't know. Keo says GitHub Pages is a feature that GitHub has that does that. A lot of people use it because it's free. Huh. All right. I'll have to look into. I have seen websites that use GitHub Pages or something, where it's like the URL is like github.io/something, and it's like a website. And it's like, well, this doesn't look like GitHub. This looks like a website. If that's what you mean, if that's what a GitHub page is, then maybe that's something I'll look at. We'll see. But yeah, to answer some of the questions, the website is not up. It's still very much getting there, but it's definitely progressed a lot more. So I know that you guys desperately want to jump in and read all of this, but it's so disorganized still. Trust me, you don't want to read this yet. Once I finish cataloging it and organizing it and set up a repository for it and all of that, see, there's that noise again. Did you rejoin Sonic Curb? Did you do that, or is that, I don't know. Or is that... I don't know what that was. What was I saying? Yeah, so God, I can just feel my brain rotting every time I hear that noise. But yeah, so once I set up a proper repository to actually organize this, maybe figure out a way if I want to combine the Obsidian Vault and the repository for the site into like one thing. I don't know if that's a good idea, but I've heard of people doing it. There was a specific video that I'll link you guys if you want to see what I'm thinking. I saw this guy do this thing, and I thought it was interesting. And then the video was called, I started a blog in 2024, and so should you. And maybe I should make a similar type video. But he basically did this thing where he, yeah, and also this book changed my life. That's so me. But he basically did this thing where he did pair the two into one thing, where it was like he made a Obsidian Vault and a website combined into one thing. So that I haven't finished watching this whole thing, but I've watched some of it and it's like, oh, that's cool, but I haven't watched enough to know if there's some kind of, unintended consequences to it or something. So that's the one thing I want to be sure of before I commit to that. But if that is indeed the right choice, and if I end up doing it, it'll make organizing a lot of things a lot easier in terms of everything I write. And that sounds kind of crazy. It's like, oh, everything Ray writes? What is he writing so much about? But it's like, no, for the last couple years, I've been writing a lot. I just haven't published it anywhere. But I write a lot of I think I publish it on my Patreon for the supporters. That's the only people I've shared it with. But even there's a bunch of other stuff I've written as well that I just haven't put anywhere, that I think it might be worth sharing. So but it's like worth sharing, but you can't turn it into some kind of 100,000 view video, so it kind of makes it not worth to make videos on, but I think it's still worth putting out in some form. So, but yeah, I want to look at more at what this guy did. That's sort of my plan. So I'll link this if you guys want to check this out. Maybe do it for yourself. If you guys are thinking of doing something similar. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. Sonic Curb says, is Streamlabs some sort of app? Yeah, so the Streamlabs, it's the program I'm using to... It's like a OBS that I can do live streaming in. This is my Streamlabs. So this is how I'm broadcasting right now. But yeah, I don't know. Like, there's no... I'll try to... Oh, no, I can't mute that because it mutes TTS as well, so I don't want to do that. But I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know. But the sound is coming from somewhere. I have no idea where, though. Because it usually when a tab plays a sound, it has a little sound icon next to it, but none of my tabs have a sound icon next to it, so I don't know. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know, because you guys can't hear it, so I don't know what the deal is really. Lucas says, putting a class on this style and putting a class on this and creating a style for this, you can create this easily. Even make the tilt to make it 3D if you want. Okay, I don't really know what that means, but I'm sure if I research more CSS, I'll figure out what that is. Streamlines is a proprietary fork of OBS. Yeah. So it's what I've been using to broadcast, just because it has like, that's sort of how the TTS and everything works. So when you guys like super chat something, that's what powers the message coming up in the TTS and stuff. I don't maybe there is a way to do that with normal OBS, but I haven't figured out how to do it. And so I'm just using Streamlabs. See, there it is again. What is that noise? Okay, you guys got to come clean with this now. You got to stop pranking me here. You got to tell me what's going on. You guys got to stop messing with me and giving me brain rot. Because every time the noise plays, my brain just wipes itself. Like my brain reboots. And I keep forgetting about whatever it is I'm talking about. And I know that this is one of you's doing this on purpose. You got to stop messing around here. I know that one of you's doing this deliberately to enact psychological warfare on me right now. Trying to lose my focus. Maybe let the Windows sound monitoring program open another screen and see what app this sounds. I don't know if mine has that. The sound... I think they got rid of... Is that still a thing in Windows, or did they get rid of that? Okay, well, I don't know, it doesn't really show me. It just shows me the programs I've got open. Yeah, I'm just looking at my list, and it's just got the... Yeah, I don't know. Kia says, oh, we'll tell you after you look into this red dot. Oh, yeah, no problem. It's probably Twitch alerts, right? I don't know. I can't tell if it's YouTube or Twitch, because sometimes it'll play when a YouTube message sends, and sometimes when a Twitch message sends. And I don't know. I just am tired of these websites changing stuff. I just want them to just leave the code alone. Just stop adding stuff. Just leave it alone and just let it work. Just fix the issues it has and stop adding new stuff. That's what I want. But no, that's impossible. We can't do that. We got to get our VC San Francisco money. So we got to add all this. We got to add a leaderboard and gamify or whatever the hell they're doing. I don't know. I have a feeling it's got something to do with YouTube though, because they did add this leaderboard thing, but it wasn't making sounds last week. So I don't know what the deal there is. I don't know, man. But I guess another thing I can show you in the meantime is, because, see, there it is again. Every time I start talking, someone plays the sound. Whenever I start talking about the sound, it goes away. But the minute I start talking about anything else... God, I hate... Stop torturing me. What was I going to talk about? See, this is what social media... This is why I hate social media now. It's making me a mental lobotomite right now. Anyway, I'm gonna resist the conditioning, okay? Because last week I was asked an interesting question that I now have a better answer to, and I'll share some of that here. I don't know if the guy who asked that is still here, but they asked me a question about what my process is for writing or something along those lines. Like when you're trying to work out what to do with your characters and the plot, what's your approach? That was the question, and I have a better answer this time because last time I had it was a kind of a meandering answer that was kind of vague. But I thought more about it, and I have a better answer to that. Because I've been doing a lot of this lately, especially with this site I've been constructing, because I want to implement some bits of it into the site. But what I have been doing lately is I'm using more Obsidian at the moment to document more things. I used to use a game design document, but those are kind of a waste of time, I've found. And I had this big, long Word document that had all these paragraphs of like Act 1, Scene 1, Scene 2, and whatever. And a lot of it would change a lot of the time. Because the thing is, the way I'm kind of doing it, and I'm sure some of you guys have probably wondered this, I wouldn't say that the entire plot is like fleshed out or anything. And it's hard to document this kind of progress because I don't want to like give away details. So you'll just have to bear with me here. So I am being deliberately vague, but this is the only thing I can show you is this picture. This is all I can show you. I can't really show you anything else at the moment. But this is stuff I've been kind of working on in the background, because at the moment, a lot of my work lately has been catching up the devlog series so that I have some more ad revenue so I can afford to keep working on the demo. And then, getting the site up and everything. So it's been a lot of like second order type work. And while it's going on, I wanted to spend like my whatever available time I had left over to work on invisible things that are more directly related to the game that I won't be able to make videos on anyway because it'll spoil the game or whatever. So I've been doing more of that lately, and it's actually been coming to me a lot easier. The stuff, like issues that I found that I didn't know the solutions to have been coming to me a lot easier. And I'll get into why that is in a moment, but the approach has been very iterative. And the way it used to look like, I had this big document, and I can't show you this document either because there's spoilers in it, but the document, imagine like big paragraphs. And the problem with that is that there would be like, in English, like paragraphs writing out, and then Gabby does this or whatever. The problem though is that it's too detailed. And if you want to make a change to something, you have to change a lot of words, and you have to like go in and go like, oh, actually, I want to actually do this different thing. And I have to cut out like 10 paragraphs of stuff I've written and rewrite all of it. And it's clunky and slow. It's not smooth. It's slow for the wrong reasons. It's not smooth. So gradually, I didn't really make a decision, but I kind of just gradually stopped doing that. And I started just writing notes more sporadically in little chunks. And when I took them over to Obsidian, I was able to start tagging them and organize them. And this is sort of how it looks in the graph view. So I know this might not look like it makes any sense at the moment, but what I'm kind of doing instead is compiling kind of more of a like miniature encyclopedia, not like a massive like fan, like with the kind of stuff you see at like Undertale wiki or something. It's not like that. It's not as complicated, but it's like a very simple, lean, micro like encyclopedia of, I got articles on, well, here's who the characters are, and then like little articles about the chapters of the plot or what have you. And what I've found is that working that way is a lot better for me. And this is just a me thing, but it's been better for me because the entire thing is a lot more atomized, and you can like more iterate. It's like kind of like when you program, when you modularize your code so that, you've got like Gabby's wall run, for instance. She's got her combat and her wall running, and those exist as separate components. Those exist as separate things with their own code in it. And if there's an issue with one, you can just fix the thing in that one thing and not the other. And I've kind of been managing details about the plot similarly, kind of like code, object-oriented storytelling, if you want to call it, if you want to call it that. And it's been a lot better. And what you can probably notice here is this looks like a madman's conspiracy theory thing going on. But what I have noticed is that there is a lot more links between certain ideas, or synchronicity, you might say, which is hard to judge in a Word document. Because in a Word document, it's all just laid out linearly. And if you want to make a change of something that happens previously, and it affects something later, you can't really do it. And you have to go and manually rewrite the whole thing. But with this system, it's again, it's hard to show because I don't want to, there's a lot of details I can't share, but just the high level view here, you can see that you can kind of get a sense of how everything relates to each other. And to me, it's really important that happens because I do want the outcome of this to be extremely deliberate, much like Gabby's model and much like the game mechanics and the art style. The story should likewise be purposeful and deliberate and not just filled with random junk. So it's hard to see that in a document though, but when you have like a node system or a encyclopedia like this, where you can look at the data a bit differently and you can think differently about organizing it, it's actually, for me at least, easier to gauge if something is becoming too complicated or too superfluous or what have you. And that's actually made things more clear. And there was also I made another additional change, not on the computer or in my formatting, but in just my personal life, that has made finding synchronicity easier. And that was when I ditched my smartphone for a dumb phone. And when I did that, suddenly I started the ideas started just rushing in, like assaulting my brain, like floods of ideas, and not random ideas either, like good ideas. Not random, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if... Like, no, not that kind of stuff. Stuff that's like, oh, this is a glue that's holding two of my other ideas together that I had. Like, for example, I don't know if I can illustrate this visually, but I've got, this note that has this date on it. I can't tell you what this is, but this is a plot event. This 2025, this is when I wrote this down. This is an idea. That's how I organize it for the moment. I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but at the moment, I've been taking a lot of notes and I title it whatever the date and time is. And I go, all right, I'm going to just write down, here's a thing that should happen. And you notice how it links to a lot of things. See, there's that noise again. It's trying to take me off track. But the idea, you see how this connects to Gabby? It connects to a few other things. That's because this idea kind of, it describes a thing that happens that actually it actually takes a lot of what's already in there and it works with it. And the reason that's good is because essentially each thing you do, each event that happens involves everything else. And you don't have these things, because you'll see that there are other ones in here that aren't as connected, which are kind of more one-off random ideas that don't really serve a purpose, because they're just sort of like this one in the corner. This has two links to things, but it's it doesn't really integrally tie to most of the other stuff. So you can probably get rid of it and it wouldn't change it. And there's a lot of little details that I've just accumulated over my older versions of these documents that kind of were useless, that I would just chuck out. But doing it like this, it makes it easier to find the weak ideas and go, oh, this little detail I wrote, this actually kind of doesn't serve the purpose I want, so I can get rid of this. And it just it's like organizing a closet. Like, imagine each idea is like a shirt on the rack, and you can imagine being able to actually see the closet instead of having all the shirts laid out linearly on the floor like a Word document. That's sort of, it's sort of the difference. But, Kiro says, you can't spoil me. I won't be upset. Well, too bad. You'll just have to wait. I'm sorry. But basically it actually does as well help to not overworld build, which is something I do see a lot. Because this might look a bit complicated in the graphic. That's just because I haven't really organized this as well as I should have yet. But another thing is, because you do visually get punished by having more stuff, if you decide you want to go on a big world building thing with a bunch of unnecessary stuff, it does punish you, because you'll get way more stuff on the graph that you'll have to organize. And that's another thing that kind of makes it helpful too. So there's still a few things here I'm working out to try and remove, but what it does do, what I've been doing lately, a lot of this invisible work, it's been kind of because I'm using a dumb phone now and I'm not on the computer as much, what ends up happening is I will just be thinking, and I can think more clearly now because of that. And then something will just appear, it'll just occur to me, right? It's sort of instead of going out and trying to find ideas, the ideas find you. And when these ideas find me, the types of ideas, like I said, they aren't random. They're more like, hey, so this thing, like this little one on the graph here, it's like, oh, I didn't have the idea for a new character. It's not like that. It's more like, oh, I have a concept where I know that something happens to her that affects him and him, or what have you. I'm trying to be, I can't be specific about this, I'm sorry. But something happens, right? And then like after a while now, it occurs to me, oh, that's why this happens. It happens because this needs to then happen to then trigger this event. And this is communicating something. And I know this sounds super vague, I'm sorry. But it's much higher quality thinking than just... Because what I have seen a lot of the time is... you'll have people that come up with something where it's like, oh, and then my character lives in a world with wizards, and the wizards come from this planet, and I'm going to write this whole article about the planet that's not really important, and then I'm going to write the whole history of this planet, where back in the Middle Ages of this planet, they made this magic, and it's just kind of like, a lot of it doesn't really matter to the main plot. It's just kind of like, oh, well, I read J.R. Tolkien and his world's very detailed, so I'm going to do the same thing. I see a lot of that a lot. And that's usually when you just have an untrained imagination, I find. But I don't know, there's been this weird convergence lately where reorganizing my notes like this and using a dumb phone has made it so that the ideas that occurred to me are more valuable, and they aren't just random fluff. It's usually like, again, it's not like little pebbles. It's like glue that holds together the thing I'm already trying to do. So if there's ever a moment where it's like, well, does this character need to do that? Does this need to happen? Do they have to go to this environment? Like, why is that necessary? Now, a lot of the stuff is falling into place where it's like, oh, that's why I came up with this thing at all. Like, the reason why I've got this environment here that has to look like this, I thought this was cool at the time, but I know that that's not a good enough reason. And now I've noticed a bunch of synchronicity with the 10 other ideas I came up with last month or whatever. And it's all like, oh, it all kind of works. It's cohesive. And I think that is really the key to a good... This is just a game theory here. I'm not a published author, so I can't really take this with a grain of salt. I'm not a success at this. But I have an inkling of an idea that the good stories cohese in a similar way. Like, they are very cohesive, where each little detail is not just a random, like, throwaway thing. Like, it serves a specific purpose. The thing that's important, though, is that what this process doesn't look like is writing dialogue, which I know sounds a bit crazy, because I think I have seen people in my comments from time to time talk about this sort of thing, where they're writing a story and they get stuck on dialogue or something like that. And what you'll notice about these notes is that there isn't like an inkling or hint of dialogue anywhere. And that's because what I've noticed is that it's easy to come up with bad ideas through dialogue. Because when people talk, they, like even me right now, there's a lot of information you will communicate that is useless. And it's kind of too easy to romanticize the characters and dialogue. So what I've actually been doing, there is a dialogue system in the game that's programmed in, but I have gone out of my way to leave the actual writing of it to way later on for a certain reason. Because I did try doing that early. I had like a few old notes where I tried writing out details of like specific scenes. And it's not like cutscene type stuff. Like the way I'm going to do it is very low budget. It's going to be like a comic strip. But I've had like little things of, oh, and then like Gabby meets Felix or whatever. Like I've tried to write out little scenarios. And a lot of the time, like there'll be bits of it that keep changing. And it's to the point where is it even worth writing it down if the thing keeps changing? And that's when I realized that, oh, I'm going at it top down. I should be going at it bottom up instead, where I leave the dialogue to the end. Once I figure out the bones of the thing, of what's the purpose of this scene? Why does it need to exist? What is the outcome of this? You know, and it makes it, it means that I'm not writing dialogue, but it means that when I do write it, I'll be throwing less out, kind of like a measure twice, cut once type thing. So in none of these documents is any dialogue or any specific scene one, whatever. None of that stuff. This is all just kind of high level, the bones. It's like the modular bones, the object-oriented bones of the thing, of this. You know, what's the thing that writers talk about? A good plot is like A causes B, which causes C. That's sort of like how they describe it, where like causality type stuff. That's what a lot of the professional writers will talk about. Instead of just having, and this happens, and this happens, it's like, no, you want to have this happen, therefore this happens, where it's more of a cause and effect, where everything kind of is more sensible. And when you just get into the dialogue only, when you look at a scene of, I'm going to start writing a story and then just write dialogue first because it's fun, which is, I've done that, and it's like, it doesn't get you thinking about the causality as much. It just gets you kind of romanticized in the detail. And, it's not so good all the time because you have to throw it out, most of it. So, and the thing is as well, I don't want a lot of dialogue anyway. I want each line of dialogue, when I do get to that, to be like no more than a sentence or something. Because that's what it ought to be, I think. And it's not only is it easier to write when you're writing less, but also you waste less of the player's time, and it's like kind of like making a YouTube video, because I did notice this with a certain game. I don't remember the name of it, but there was a game I was playing once that wanted to do the kind of the parkour game, but also have a visual novel in it. But the dialogue was was overdone. Like there was too much, and a lot of it was useless. And it's like, oh, but it's quirky and cool. And it's like, it's the characters like teasing each other. And it's like, yeah, but I can tell that you could cut this out and it wouldn't make a difference. Like I'd be able to infer the relationship between these characters without you telling me. Type stuff. Like they'll have a scene that goes out of the way where it's like, okay, you finished this level and now we're going to have a scene where you and your character flirt for the next minute. And it's like, look, from the designs and from one line, I can already tell that these characters are smitten. You don't have to play out this 10-line scene. I already get it. I know. You don't have to, like, that's a lot of the stuff I will notice in a lot of games that overdo the dial. So that's part of the thing I'm going to, when I do stuff this way, this might seem kind of like, what's the meme of the guy with the chalkboard and he looks crazy? I know that that's how this looks, but what it does, it kind of leads you on a path where you avoid that whole problem of needing to like axe dialogue out or have too much of it at all, because you just end up never making an excessive dialogue in the first place. Because ultimately I understand what people are here for. They're here to play, right? You only want to introduce anything extra if it's actually adding something that they want, that is delightful, that isn't going to take away from what they are here for. So that's something I think about, where it's like, I know that I want to add an element to this, and I want to make the characters and the story to make it feel as though you aren't just playing a game. Like there's that stuff too. But if you don't do it right, if you overdo it, it becomes annoying, right? And it's like, you know, you make people care less. And that's something I'm very, very, very aware of. And it's something I've noticed a lot. That's stuff I'm thinking about. So I know that I can't show what a lot of that looks like. I can only show you this. And I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna, you're not gonna gaslight me into spoiling my game here. But there's been a lot of stuff going on this week just behind the website, behind everything else, that has been like lots of solving plot holes type stuff. Lots of axing things, gluing things together cohesively. And to give you an idea, the only other thing I can tell you about this, I wish I could, I really want to be able to tell you more, but I can't. But what I will tell you is that I was running some of this by some friends of mine who I will trust will not leak this out and spoil people. Because I've got some friends that, you know, they're pretty judgmental consumers, you could say. Like they have reasonably higher standards. They are very obsessed over their own particular, their taste doesn't exactly overlap with my game necessarily. So they aren't overly attached to what I'm doing, but they care enough, you know, like they'll listen to me, but they aren't like fanboying over it, and they aren't glazing me all the time, which I really do. I have met, you know, I've had some friends that do that, and I don't really share stuff with them anymore. But I've got a group that are like, will tell me like, yeah, this, I don't really get what this is for. This kind of sucks. Like they will tell me if something is not, I can usually see it in their face if they know that something's not right. What was really interesting though, is that I got them into an argument over like some detail. Like I had come up with something that a lot of you, like this is a question I do get asked by a lot of you, and I can't tell you what the question is, because I don't want to get you too hyped here. I'm trying to manage expectations. But there's a question I get asked a lot about Gabby, and I actually had solved it. For the longest time, I hadn't worked out why the thing was the way it was. And then I worked it out, and I'm like, oh, that's what this has to be. This is why that's there. And when I told them, they got into like this 5-minute argument over like well, actually, no, I think that means this or whatever. And these are people that I don't even know if they'll end up playing the game. I know that they listen to me talk about it for feedback, but I don't know if it's really up their alley. But the fact that I got them to argue over it when they could be arguing over anything else, I thought was, interesting. Because I can tell, if someone's bored, I can usually tell. It's like, I'll tell them, oh, I'm thinking I might try this, and they usually just go, oh, that's nice, sweetie. And then whatever, we'll move on to talk about whatever. But this time, no, they actually like got into an argument. And it's like, okay, I think I'm onto something. So that's all I can really tell you. I can't share specifics. I'm sorry, but I that's how I know that this is like, oh yeah, this is now we're in the right timeline type stuff. And it's been very satisfying and clairvoyant. But unfortunately, I can't tell you. I'm sorry, I can't spoil it. But maybe this is something I can make a video about after the timeline when the game's done or something. Maybe I'll be able to talk about it then. But Lucas says if they're interested enough to talk about it, it's a good signal. It can be. There are times where that isn't always true, though. And this is something I will say just to caution other people that might want to try this sort of thing. Because there are friends I know. Actually, weirdly enough, it's the people that also do writing that I actually find the most useless to share stuff with. Because the people that also do writing, and maybe it might not be because of this reason. It could be because they're a bit younger than me, so that could be why as well. But there's some people I know that are also really passionate about like not video games, but just writing. Like they want to write, they want to be a writer, they want to write fiction and stuff. And maybe a lot of them have actually written more than I have even. Like they've written so much. But because of, I guess, the position they're in, they're kind of more interested in a reciprocal, like, being a connection. You know what I mean? Like they will never tell you if something sucks because they don't want you to not like them. They want to be they are more interested in being in your circle than they are being useful. That is a thing that can happen. And this isn't like they're a bad person. No, it's not a value judgment. It's just they haven't reached the level yet where they are brave enough to tell you if something sucks. Because they themselves, often enough, maybe they don't really have confidence in their own merit of what they're doing. And they want to have a clique or a clique or whatever the word is. And they're kind of more protective of the clique than merit. And that's where you got to watch out. So there are actually people that I know that technically know more about writing and they've studied it more, but they are in a clique. And they actually kind of, by virtue of them being in a clique, become useless because they will never tell me anything honest. It's always just like, oh, this is cool. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think it's that good though. Like, you're saying it's cool, but I don't really think so. So I don't know. I feel like you might be lying to me because you want me to like you. So that's something you got to watch out for. So the friends that I've got, they really have no reason to be interested, and I actually do find that more valuable. They really could not care if they wanted to. They have no reason to care. They might. The game is not targeted at them. They aren't the target consumer or whatever. But what we do have in common is that we have similar reasons for the things we do like. So even our own interests aren't in common. They like completely different things than me. But the reasons we like those are usually for the same reasons. So, one of my friends is a huge history guy, loves reading about the fall of the Roman Empire, as we all do. I have another friend that's super into like D&D and like Brandon Sanderson books, which I'm not really into personally, but he's really into. And, we might not really be into each of those things together, but the reason we're into those is usually the same reason, even if it's different. So the reason why, a friend of mine might love Roman history, it's the same reason I might love, mythology in a different culture completely. Or because in a way, storytelling is mythology in a way. So history and mythology aren't the same, but the reason we take an interest in them is usually for the same reasons. So that makes it quite interesting because they have a more detached thing where they aren't like as invested in the story as you for the right reason though, because it's like they will not hesitate to rip it a new one if they know that it isn't serving the purpose you want it. Because at least with one of my friends, he's sort of got his own thing he's trying to do. He's got a way more complicated document than me with some stuff that he's trying to do. And I don't really understand, like, the audience that he's going for is not me, but I understand what he's trying to do and the problems he has. And I'm really not attached to his story. But I know that his intention is to do a certain thing. And if I do feel that when he tells me some detail, and if from a first glance I feel like, this doesn't really sound like it's doing what you want, I can tell him and say, like, this character that you've got, or this detail where the aliens turn on the, or whatever storyline, it's like, I don't really get why that's happening. Or maybe it'd be cooler if then they had this danger or whatever. I don't know. I'm just trying to use, like, vague examples here, right? But the point is, because I'm not attached to his story and he's not attached to my story, it makes it easier to, like, critique them. And we're also not in a clique or anything. So we're nobodies. Like, there's no status. Like, there isn't like I have a degree in English literature. Like, there's none of that stuff going on either. So it's just two guys talking, which is kind of the best environment. And that makes it easy to, like, kind of combat. It's a war of ideas. That's what you're doing, really. So it's really cool when you can see just all combatants with kind of equal ability with different strengths, participate in the battle of ideas. And if they use your ideas, it's even cooler. And if they start fighting over your ideas, that's really cool. So it's like, I know this is a lot of, like, literally, like, this, it's hard to make devlogs about, because this was really, we were just at a bar talking about this. So it's not the kind of stuff you can put in a devlog of just people, like, at a bar arguing over plot stuff. But I think it's something, I don't know, I realized that, oh man, this is actually, like, kind of a milestone for me, because it's very rare I can get people to do that. So, I'd be really worried. I'd say it's a bad sign if you come up with some whole thing, you say it to someone, and their response is, "Oh, that's nice, sweetie." That's the worst response you could ever get. Complete apathy. So I don't know. That's something I thought I'd share. And if you guys are trying to write stuff, then maybe that's my tip for today is, don't join a writing circle. Just literally try and pick people that are, like, really critical consumers. Well, not really, not in the nostalgia critic type way that are just going to be Redditors about it, but more like, I don't know, the sorts of people I like to talk to are more like, you understand, like, they are a deliberate consumer. Like, they aren't just eating up everything. They're like they're a person that chooses media carefully, that spends time, kind of like how I was talking about in my video, where I spend like 15 years with one game or something. That's the sort of stuff you want to be looking out for, because those people will have pretty cool insights, not just about the specifics, but about the whole point of fiction in general, or entertainment in general, I find. So I don't know. I thought I'd share some of those cool little discoveries with you this week. Wow, yeah. Oh, sorry, I'll let some messages here. See what you guys have to say about it. Strawberry Coffee says, Wilbur's disease can really kill a story, obsessing over every little detail despite their actual significance in the sneakiest form. And a lot of the time you don't end up using that. That can happen for sure. The thing that's been interesting, though, in this little graph, because there will be some parts of this that you will not see. And the interesting question is, how do you know when it's too much? And I think, for me, I have done little bits and pieces before that have been too much, and I kind of have a better sense of where that threshold is. There are some things in here, though, that you will not see, but they do kind of drive a lot of the themes of what I want to say with the characters. Like, a lot of the journey I want to take them on, and this even ties into the mechanics as well. And that's why I'm very confident about this, because the actual point of the story is complementary to the attitude of the game. That's why I think it's even worth pursuing at all. If the story was discordant, if it was just some random plot that didn't have anything to really do with the gameplay, then I would not really bother at all. But to give you an idea, for me, the spirit of the game, and this is something I think that ought to be asked with any game, because every game has this, whether they know it or not. But a game really is it's a marketing tool, or no, that's a corpo way to say it. It's kind of like a Bible for an attitude of life. That's what a game is. It's like a packaged up, ready to consume, like propaganda for a way of solving problems. And if you think about any game that's actually fun, that's what it does. When you play even multiplayer, like League of Legends, what's the point of that? I haven't played League, so I don't know. But I know that there is a social aspect, and there's a whole thing with classes, and there's a whole thing with, I don't know what you'd call them, like ability or whatever. There's like macro or whatever the buzzword. I don't know what those all mean, but those all mean stuff to the League players, right? And League has a lot of this thing where they have like they have a rich lore and characters and stuff. There's probably a reason why that works together. Like, why would they bother? Because didn't they make a whole show based on League at some point? I don't know. I don't really follow it. But there's a reason why people are interested in that. And they don't look at it and go, oh, this is just bloat. This is bloat to the game. It doesn't matter. Just cut it out. Or like with Overwatch. I know I'm more familiar with Overwatch. But Overwatch, the theme of Overwatch is cooperation. Competitive cooperation. That's what it's teaching you to do. That's the whole point of the game. At least that's when I last played it, that was the point. And that's why they have all this backstory about the Overwatch as like an organization. And all the characters have this backstory where, you know, they used to work together and stuff. Because it adds to the actual theme of what you're doing in the game, which is cooperating. It's like it's like the Rescue Heroes pretty much, but Blizzard. That's basically what, you know, that's basically what Overwatch is, right? And that's why it's synchronous and it goes together. If the backstory of Overwatch was instead something like Lord of the Rings, it wouldn't work. It's discordant because the theme of Lord of the Rings or the whole story of Middle-earth is not what Overwatch's gameplay is about, and that would be discordant. But Overwatch's story, their whole details, it is synchronous with the game. And even when you look at, I don't know, Mario rescuing Princess Peach, in a way, like if you looked into it, the reason why they have that objective at all, it is synchronous with the gameplay of platforming, reaching a goal. So that's kind of how I've thought about it. And the thing that's interesting is when you look at games that don't quite get it. And that's, I think when you look at Sonic games, the ones that get teased the most typically are the most discordant in this area, among other areas too. But, you know, a lot of the time, like, I'll use Sonic 06 because I'm very familiar with that game. A lot of people trash it for its unfinished bugs or whatever. But I think a lot of people also don't see synchronicity in the story and the game. Now, I kind of don't see it that way. Because I've played that game so much, I do actually see buried beneath the multiple stories that game is telling. I do see a degree of synchronicity with the spirit of the story of like the Solaris taking over the world and ending the universe. I see synchronicity with that and the gameplay. Now, to explain why it would take too long, it would take me an hour to get through all the whatever. It's something I should write it down. But, you know, the problem I think there is that it's obscured too much. You have to play the game for too long to notice it. And most people have not played that game for 15 years. So most of them won't see it. And so that's an issue. And then there are the third tier of games where there is none at all. And it's just a complete random story that has nothing to do with what the game's about. That's when, no matter how long you play that game, you'll never find synchronicity, usually. So in my case, what's Project Feline about? Well, people think it's about jumping or wall running. Well, the way I see it, it's more about an attitude of, I'm trying to think of the words to use. It's to train gamers on this attitude of grace, style, perfectionism, and like doing things thoroughly type thing. Which is, if you've watched my video about my last devlog about worshipping your tools, I go into a bit of that as well. Those are the things I like about a lot of the media I enjoy, is that they have those same themes. Like watching Lazy Town kind of does that. Sporticus's character does that. Gymnastics does that. That's why I've been able to take all those inspirations and put them in. But when it comes to like the game, it's like, well, what does that all mean? Like, why would people care so much about jumping and wall running? Like, why on earth would anyone, like other games do that? Why does anyone care about me doing that? And I think it's, for me, subconsciously this whole time, it's because I've seen it as more than that. It's basically a artifact that is supposed to get you sold on the idea of, you know, becoming a master at something. You know, playing the same level without losing enthusiasm to do it exceptionally well with grace and style, which is an approach that extends beyond video games. You can do that in real life, actually. And I think that's kind of the spirit I had learned from other things I had played growing up, which is why I don't know, I guess that's why I work on Feline the way I do, because I approach it like the way I approach the games I played growing up, where you have to like maintain enthusiasm and do it perfect. That's kind of why you guys even think the game looks cool. Because if I didn't approach it that way, it would suck. It would be, it would look boring. It'd be Ninja Run on the PlayStation Store. That's what the difference is between those, by the way. Like it's what artifact of attitude is this? What attitude is imbued in this? So to bring that to story, the purpose, I think the good purpose of a story is when you have a story that complements the attitude, that gives you even more suspension of disbelief, that complements the attitude of the gameplay. I think that is when you're onto something. Now, in my case, the attitude for this is kind of like cultivating, because that's kind of what Gabby's is about. She has to cultivate inner strength to become a good... That's what you do as the player. That's what you do as well. You have to cultivate inner skill to get through these levels gracefully, to get a high rank, to pass a high standard. That's kind of the whole point. That's what it's training you for. So in a way, there are bits of the story I've weaved into... Because when you think about it, a story should wrestle with that idea in its own way. The challenge in gameplay is the level geometry or the hazards, right? Like you have an enemy in the way, or you have there's a lava pit beneath you. Like there has to be things you have to overcome to put this attitude to the test. Those are physical tests that you will physically play through. But I think a story, the purpose of that should be to contextualize those into some kind of spiritual test, a spiritual obstacle. And that's kind of, without trying to get into specifics, which I can't get into specifics, but a lot of this stuff I've been showing has been me working out actually what the spiritual obstacle is. That is sort of it's like metaphysically there in the game, beyond just the mechanics. And just to give you an idea of what I'm thinking, I can't explain exactly how this plays out, but I can tell you the key for me is with a story about this sort of thing. If you're the guy that I'm going to play the level again and do it so good to get the best rank and not lose enthusiasm in the process, that is a spirit. I know that there's people in here that when I use the word spirit, that might sound all mystical and crazy, but I think there is a large degree to spirit in everything. Even if you're a Reddit atheist that doesn't believe in whatever, there is a degree to that going on. And when you think about that, what is the spirit of, the point of Project Feline? To play it over and over, not lose enthusiasm and cultivate skill is a spirit. What is the biggest enemy to that? Well, there's physical things in the way, in the level. But spiritually, what is the biggest enemy to that? And I've kind of known this for a while, but I didn't know how to put it into words. But I was finally able to put it into words this last week. And I don't know if should I tell you? I don't know. I think maybe I'll tell you. I think what I've come across just from, and this is from what I was doing when I was answering that question, what's your approach to story? When I let ideas come to me, this idea came to me, and it was so great. What came to me was I realized what I think the biggest enemy is to this attitude, and that is subversion. I think is the biggest enemy. How do you prevent someone spiritually from being like Gabby? Because that's kind of what Gabby represents. She's strong. She's got abilities. She can get things done. She's agile. She's graceful too. How do you stop someone like that? How do you quell them? How do you completely annihilate someone like that? You subvert them. I think this might not be what everyone thinks. You might have different, and this is the cool thing about storytelling, is that you can make up whatever the hell you want, you think is the worst thing, and you can make your own story about it. But I found, for me, I realized it's like, oh, what's the biggest evil against that? Oh, that's what I think it is. And it's like, okay. And then I started noticing all the things I already had written down actually were already geared towards that without me noticing. And it's like, oh my God, this entire thing here and this part here that happens, it's all, you know, and that's sort of how it is, right? So that's how, I don't know, it's hard to explain without specifics, but I think that's kind of when you, I don't know. If someone told me that they had worked that out, I would have a lot of confidence in the story they were telling. Because that's kind of what the purpose of fiction is, to warn you against spiritual dangers. Like, it isn't just to be, it's not to be Cocomelon, where you're just, oh, it's content, I'm going to consume it. Like, no, that's not the purpose of fiction. There's a much deeper purpose to fiction than just being a distraction. So that's, anyway, so that's sort of some of that inner work I've been up to. But yeah, that's sort of, again, it's hard to say without specifics, but if you this might not even make any sense, but if it does make sense to you, you'll get what I'm trying to say. It's pretty cool. Have I watched the first trailer for Minecraft? No, I haven't. I'm not really into Minecraft. I'm not a Minecraft guy. I'm sorry. See that noise? I keep hearing that noise. It happened right when Sonic Curb, right when you type that message, it play that noise. But yeah, thanks for sticking around, man. Appreciate it. Sounds like Lemon Drop says, sounds like Neon White. Oh, it might have been. I don't know. I do remember there was some game where the story just didn't feel like it at all was relevant to the game. Maybe it was Neon White. I don't know. I didn't. That's the thing. I didn't play whatever game it was. I didn't end up buying it. So that should tell you everything you need to know. So I don't know. It might have been that game. The one released in, some guy says the one released in 2011. A Minecraft trailer from 2011 oh, you mean the game? I thought you were talking about the movie, because I was like, didn't they just make a movie about Minecraft like this year? Minecraft trailer 2011, you say? Minecraft had a trailer? Why the hell did Minecraft have it? Wasn't it like the most popular game of all time? Why does it need a trailer? Well, you've got me interested now. Is this what did you say about this? It has reeks of what you're currently talking about. Is that right? Well, that is interesting. I'll see. Maybe can I turn on my desktop? Maybe we can give it a brief watch. Do a react stream. We'll give it a brief watch. I'll see if I can just patch in my desktop audio here. Give that a try. The Minecraft trailer.
Let's go to a place where everything is made of block.
Hold on, because I don't know if you guys can hear it. I have to turn my Windows volume to full so that you guys can hear
it. Where the only limit is your imagination. Let's go wherever you want to go. Climb the tallest mountains. Venture down to the darkest caves.
Alright, I'm just gonna stop it there. Usually, within the first 20 seconds, you could usually pick up on this stuff. So I'm just trying... What was it you said about it? You said it had... Where was it? The way the narrator lays out the philosophy. Yeah, because I don't understand. Like, I have not really played Minecraft. I don't really get what the point of it is. But what he said, I'm just gonna listen back to it quietly, because I don't want to blow my ears out.
Let's go wherever you want to go. Climb the tallest. You're down to the darkest.
I mean, this is a bad thing for me to judge, because this is not made for me, but. That was actually why I didn't like Minecraft, because you could do anything. And it's like, well, I don't know what to do. Give me something. And it's like, well, you can do anything you want. It's like, but I don't want to do anything I want. I want to work. That's what I want to do. So that's why I never really got into this game. Because I just went into Unreal and just did my own whatever. But if I had to put myself in the shoes of someone that this was made for, I could see why this works. 2.2 million likes. Wow. 107. Well, see, this is how you know. See, these guys knew what they were doing. 170 million views. That's a lot of views. I'm guessing if they hadn't worked this out and they picked some different voiceover, like in a world, if they did that, this would have not gotten a... That's how you get the Minecraft movie trailer, where it's like 1 million dislikes or whatever. That's probably the difference. Because this seems kind of honest. This seems like sincere and like they know what they're doing.
Wherever you want to go. Climb the tallest mountains. Because this is the most significant.
And you notice how like it isn't... This is what I love about old trailers. They don't use that Hollywood drum sample every second. Do you guys... The movie trailer does this. I don't know if you guys notice. But every single trailer has the big drums all the time. Every second. And it's like, can you shut up? Can you stop playing the drums for 1 second and let me hear the dialogue? And I know why they do that. It's because the drum is loud and it has a reverb and it gets you to pay attention. And I hate it. But I'm glad that this is good because it has the nice relaxing Minecraft music in the background. It isn't doing 10 jump cuts every minute. And it's just showing you like with confidence what the thing is. It's like, and it's gentle. It fits the, I don't like gentle, so this is why this wasn't for me. But people that do like a gentle, chill vibe game, that's why 170 million people watch this, because these are the people that want to play this. They want gentle, cool, chill vibes where they can just do whatever the hell they want. And that's exactly what this trailer is telling me. And now I don't know if there's a story in Minecraft, again, because this isn't, my wants for entertainment are very different. That's why I was never able to get into this. But I'm assuming that the story of it leverages those same themes. Or it could be the case that Minecraft might be so well designed it doesn't need one. It might not need a story at all. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I think there is a story though, I'm pretty sure, of some kind. Or it has the tools to let you make your own, because it's one of those kinds of games, right? Back when Minecraft was indie, such good times. Oh yeah, Microsoft own it now, don't they? The drum thing wasn't a trend at the time. Okay, so I'm not the only one that's noticed that, right? Every single trailer has it's the same drum sample too. If you go and listen to it, it's the Hollywood Elements tom drum sample, whatever, the big drum with the big things on the side. And they have to play them constantly so that you pay attention to the trailer. And it's just so annoying. I hate it so much. The part where two Steves meet kind of gave me the chills. Wait, there's two Steves? I don't know. I'm not a big Minecraft guy, so I don't really understand what I'm looking at, but I know it's good. Like, I know that this is good. Even if you took off the view counter, I would like, oh yeah, this is good. This isn't some like trying to gaslight me into play the game type stuff. Some guy says the point of Minecraft is that there's no story. It's all right. It's a canvas. Okay, so that's probably why I didn't like it, because my canvas is Photoshop. I don't need Minecraft for my canvas. But if you are not as inclined as I am, I can see why this is, yeah. Someone I knew tried to get me into this once, I remember, and I don't know, I wanted to just go and draw. Like, I wanted to get off and go draw instead, so I don't know. But that's cool. If I think basically everyone I know that isn't me likes this game, so I'm glad that it's made people happy. It's just not my cup of tea. But I can tell that, well, that's why it's probably the most popular game ever. It served the right people the right way. Even beating the Ender Dragon, which is kind of the final boss, doesn't end the game. Oh, okay, so there is kind of like a main quest type thing, it sounds like. Interesting. But I guess with games that are not Minecraft, that are more linear, like my game, or like Mario, or Jak and Daxter, or what have you, they usually need, because they don't have like the crafting thing or whatever, they usually need something in there to help suspend your disbelief more, which is sort of what separates it from a mobile runner, usually. And I find that, I don't know, it's because that's the emotion. Because gameplay, you can squeeze emotion out of gameplay into like technical, like you can get wrapped up in the, like the technical skill, like, you know, like speedrunners, like that, those sorts of people. For them, just the mechanics will be enough. For the people that are just get an emotional high from speedrunning, just gameplay will be enough for those people. But they are a minority of people. For most people that aren't speedrunners, that are going to play the game casually, you need to appeal to their emotions in a way that they might not be able to do fully with the mechanics. Because a lot of them probably won't play the game for long enough to master the mechanics to get that emotional high. So you have to make them... You have to kind of get them in there in a way that costs less for the player. And that's kind of why I think, if I had to guess, that's why games have stories at all. I think that's kind of the point. When a game has a story, it might be why Minecraft doesn't need one, because the mechanics are not a degree of like, if you've mastered the wall run jump, or you can do bunny hopping. Like, that's not really the point of Minecraft, in my estimation. It's that you can hop in there and you can develop at whatever pace you want. Because it's such an open-ended game, you can kind of like it for whatever reason you want to like it. Because from what I remember, there was one time where I tried playing it, and it was like, you get chucked in and you just are in the woods and you have to just find food or something. So I guess in that... I don't know, because again, I don't like scavenging, so I didn't like it. But if you approach it with an open mind, you will find, I guess the people that are there will find that entertaining, or maybe if there's some I don't know. I know that there's a creative mode as well, so I guess that also, the motivation is a lot more intrinsic, where you will be there because you have I want to make this thing or whatever. Like, that's an intrinsic motivation. But yeah, it's hard to judge Minecraft because it's also such an outlier, because a lot of games that also try to do this fail because they aren't Minecraft. That's why there's only one Minecraft, is that it doesn't just do all those things. It does it exceptionally well, which is why it's such an outlier. It's really something. Wasn't it made by one guy? Chad, is this real? Because I'm just trying to remember. Wasn't it made by one guy? Hold on, Minecraft. I got a fact-checked time. Chad, is this real? Was this made by one dude? My good old favorite, 100% accurate source, Wikipedia. Developed by... Okay, it's by a studio. All right, maybe it's not real. Maybe that was a psyop. Okay, I got too many windows open. Yo. Team of 5. Okay. Oh, initially it was, and then they got a team. Okay, right. Oh, initially though, that's pretty cool. Inspired by Dwarf Fortress. Also a sandbox game. I have heard of Dwarf Fortress. Isn't that still being updated? It's an old game, but I've heard that they're still working on it, and it's like one of the most successful games ever. It's pretty cool. It's probably not for me, but it does sound pretty legendary. Made by Notch. That's a cool name. Notch. Oh, that guy. I'm just looking him up. This dude. Oh, man, yeah. Marcus Pearson. Yeah, this dude. I've heard of this guy. The only place I've seen like him mentioned before, and I've also, the only time I've heard him speak was, it was like this really awkward interview he did with Todd Howard. I don't know why, I like randomly found this a while back, where it's like Notch and Todd Howard interview, and they're just kind of like, I don't know, it's really funny, because you can tell that it's just, they're kind of both nervous and they don't know what to say. So it's quite funny, but it's in a cute way though. Amogus, welcome back, says, you talked about subverting Gabby. What does that mean? Well, can I tell you without spoiling the story? Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you indirectly by talking about me for a second. I know. I'm going to go full narcissist right now. The reason I even came to that idea as well is just in my own life, I've noticed that is what I strongly feel to be the greatest evil. And then this is going to go off a bit on the deep end here, so brace yourself. We're going to go into spiritual warfare territory right now. But when writing a story, I read it, I think maybe it was your question I might have been answering, Amogus, last week. And I read an excerpt from Philip Pullman's introduction to Dark Materials, where he talked about the theme of his story. And it's like, if you can't force it, the theme will be, it'll emerge no matter what, and it'll usually be something important to you. So I've spent a long time, not a long time, I've spent like the last maybe year since I read that, thinking really, like contemplating really, in terms of themes, what is most important to me. And, you know, in a story, conflict it's a key ingredient. You don't really have a story without conflict. And when I think about conflict, it's like, well, conflict comes from resistance of some kind, or evil, or whatever. And it's like, well, a force going against you. And it's like, well, what force that has gone against me personally do I think is the most vile, that I disagree with the most as a person? And for me, it is subversion, because I don't know if because I haven't really had to explain this, because the people who I talk with this about also they it's the same for them too. Like, they also feel equally the same about it. Because I don't know, to explain why, I'd have to tell you my whole lore backstory, which we don't have time for. But I guess basically at any point in my own life where I've been at my weakest has usually been, in one way or another, the result of subversion. And what I mean by that is, like, your way of combating someone, instead of debating them or beating them with might, you instead deploy tactics to sow doubt in themselves and undermine their confidence. That, to me, that's subversion. It's actually happening to you all the time if you pay attention. It's happening all around you. And I think it's vile. I disagree with it. And even if you look back at some of the videos I've made on my channel, when the toughest points in development so far, like the Screen Australia grant, if you really dig beneath the subtext and the legalese, you will see that happening. You will understand that, oh, that's why I didn't sign that. Because if you really think about it, I know I made it about this clause. I know this is kind of going into ancient history now, but when that happened, this is maybe 2 years. Well, it's not that long ago. It was maybe like 2 years ago. I remember I really disagreed with this contract they put in front of me, because I didn't like that they couldn't explain consistently what the purpose of specific clauses were. Now, I think when most of you would have watched this, you might have just looked at this as like a funny legal battle or something, or, oh, it's like Better Call Saul. It's just like the lawyers fighting in Better Call Saul. It's like, well, yeah, there's that legal side to it. But underneath, what I was really thinking was, you know, because I didn't like that every time I asked them, what does this mean? I got a different answer every time. And it's like, I feel like anyone, and when they told me things like, no, we are right, you are misunderstanding it. And it's like, well, but am I though? Because I'm reading this literally, and every time I read this, I get the same interpretation. When I take this to my lawyer and he reads it, he gets the same interpretation I do. So the fact that you're instead of like addressing what we're saying, to instead flip it, to subvert and go, well, actually, it's you. You are the problem. You don't understand. And it's like, well, see, that is I think it's dishonest. That's why I walked away from that. Even though, you know, you might have been able to reach an agreement or whatever, my main gripe was, I'm not going to deal with people that are trying to subvert me, whether it's on purpose or not. I'm not saying this was on purpose. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. But the fact that they resorted to it at all, deliberately or not, it's like, no, that's a no-go zone for me. If I have to trust you, and every other question I ask you, you're trying to subvert what I think, then I don't trust you. And I think you're up to something. And then when I told them, you know, then you could see the reaction when they were like, we're going to monitor your communications if you say anything about this. Like, that's how I was like, okay, yeah, they're trying to subvert me. Why are they trying to subvert me? Why would you need to do that? And, well, who knows? But it's usually not a good reason if you have to resort to subversion to get what you want. I just don't agree with it. I would rather you actually beat me up. I would rather you hurt me physically than try to subvert me spiritually to try and like trick me into doing something. I'd rather just get beat up, honestly. So that was one big experience just from my own life. There's been lots of things like that though, all throughout my life that have been like that. And when you're not on your smartphone as much, you start to think about that more, and you think, what are common patterns that have emerged in my own observations? And if you're trying to tell a story, that's something you kind of need to know. Because if you want to tell something coherent, what is more coherent than a pattern? I can't think of anything more coherent than a pattern, because life is made up of all sorts of patterns. But if you're on your smartphone all the time, you're not going to notice those patterns. You're not going to be doing pattern recognition at all, which is a useful skill. So since I started being more monk mode about it, I started noticing those patterns everywhere and going, oh, it looks like just about every major conflict I've had in my own life has been someone trying to subvert me in some way. And like, man, and that's when I felt the most distressed. It's like I really didn't like that was the most stress. Every time I've been the most stressed ever has been in those states. So it's like, all right, well, this is important to me. This is very important to me. And, maybe there's a degree to this that is relevant to what I'm trying to build in my game. And, as I started thinking more about it, I started to see links. Because if, what would you then, imagine, well, what would happen if you try to subvert Gabby? That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? What would happen if Gabby's doing, you guys have seen the level I was working on with the laboratory where she breaks out? What if someone's in that lab that's trying to get her back in there by means of subversion? What would that look like? And when I think about that, I can imagine it vividly, what that would look like. And it's interesting. And it's like, oh man. And you might have a story there all of a sudden. That might actually be a story. So it's like, whoa, hey, I don't have to sit down and write dialogue anymore. I don't have to force myself to come up with anything. The story is just writing itself now. And that's momentum, that's what Gabby's all about. What is Gabby all about? She's about momentum. And the reason I even came to this at all is me winning the same battle that I'm trying to sort of make a story about. Because think about what I've just told you. What did I do to start noticing that? I overcame subversion. What does that mean? Well, because a big part of this was switching to a dumb phone, right? That was a big ingredient. And, being on YouTube less, just being talking less, thinking more, talking less, consuming less. Because I've been doing this gradually for a couple years now, and it's now reached a point of terminal velocity where I've realized how much stuff in our world is designed to subvert you. And when I removed myself from you could say sources of subversion, you could call them, I started gaining two things. I started noticing more things, and I started building more momentum, which is kind of in an indirect way, kind of what Gabby is about. What's the main mechanic of the whole game? It's not jumping, it's not running, it's not how many combat moves, it's momentum. That's the theme. You build momentum through the little mechanics I've got. You've got grinding and wall running, but it's about what those get you, which is what? Momentum. So when I think about what my enemy to momentum is, it's being spiritually subverted, being sown doubt. That's kind of what that is. So, that's, yeah. So I guess that's kind of to answer that question. That's what I mean by subvert. That's why I think it's so vile, and that's why that's as Pullman would have described, that's a theme that is most important to me that I care about, which I ought to probably put in my story somewhere, because if it's that important. So, and the cool thing is, maybe you guys might not see it that way. You might not really recognize what I'm trying to say. And that's actually good, because it means that I might be able to tell you a story that makes you see things differently, or you might come out of it with a different perspective. You might understand how I think about something. Or if you really don't agree with it, you can make up your own, you can make up your own project and come up with your own idea of what you think it is and make your own game. That's I think what's really cool about this whole thing is there isn't a right thing, but it's not that there's a right outcome, but there's a right approach. And the right approach for me has just been like anything to avoid being mentally subverted all the time and, you know, gaining momentum. And it's like, well, you know, that's the story of me working on the game, which is pretty interesting. You know, I've made a whole devlog about it and people are watching it. Why wouldn't such a story work in a game itself? Like just as its own fictional story that isn't really fictional if you think about the themes, because those are real things. Those are real themes, but it's in a fictional. You can like just, you know, clothe it in this cool fictional, stylish setting, and I think that's what good stories do. Any good story is probably doing something like that. Anything that isn't doing that is usually either fan fiction or wish fulfillment, or like, you know, those what are like. I don't know. Like I don't know if this is a. You guys have heard of these things going around, but apparently like you look at like what they sell at bookstores now and like half of it is just like smut novels or something. That's like, you know, yes, it's selling, but no one's going to remember those books in 10 years, right? That's the difference between like wish fulfillment like that and like good fiction. That's what I think anyway. Maybe you disagree, that's fine, but that's what I think is good fiction. That's what's been in common with any good fiction I've read ever, has been that thing where they're not really fictional. There's something to them that's real. So, Strawberry, you heard the sparkle? Interesting. See, I can hear the sparkle too, but I don't know what it is. Oh, it's because I got my desktop audio on. Okay. So when I do my desktop audio, you can hear it. Interesting. Well, I'll turn that off because it's probably getting annoying. There we go. So anyway, that's probably the most I can say. In terms of what that actually will end up looking like, I can't tell you. I'm sorry. But if that excites you, it excites me. But if it excites you as well, then I don't know. You'll have a lot to look forward to then. But yeah. Hold on. There was a message here that was interesting. Overthinking is a superpower, says Cybershell. I truly believe it. It's a lot of headache, but it's the sign of growth. That's true. You know what? Maybe I'll end with this little story about the word overthinking, because that story I just told you, my obsession with the story of overcoming subversion. I had my own little version of that with the word overthinking. What I mean by that is, so when I was, let's see, this might have been a year or two ago. Well, anyway, I had this friend who was a game dev. I worked with him a few times, and he would always tell me that. Like, you know, he had his little project, I was doing my project, and I would share some of these things with him, right? And then he would tell me, oh, no, you're overthinking it. Shut up. Right? And he was also, in his project, he was trying to do something. He was making his own he was a very ambitious game, way more budget than me, more resources. They had grants, they had funding, they had Microsoft QAing for them. They had a whole team, and you know, they were working on this thing. I might have talked about this project before. I haven't directly named it because I don't want to throw trash at it, but it was an interesting thing. It was because the game came out, it did terribly, and I was like very attentive to the launch because it taught me a lot about what not to do. And now one of the things that was going on during the whole process, because I was in touch with this dude throughout the entire thing, and he was telling me about how, because he had this story he wanted to do in the game about, like, you know, it's like cyberpunk in the future, and it's like mind control. And I could tell that he hadn't thought about any of this stuff. He hadn't really thought about his story. He was kind of just copying Half-Life and Cyberpunk, just imitating it, but he didn't really understand what the point of the stories were. He also made the additional choice to have the entire game voice acted, which, you know, when you start doing that and you start writing scripts and recording, all of a sudden, if you notice problems in the story, that is now very expensive to change, which is why I haven't done that for my game. Now, when I was talking to him just one-to-one, you know, we play games every week and just chat. And he would tell me stuff like, whenever I would share these insights, because I knew I was onto something, but he kept telling me like, no, like, this is not important. You're overthinking it. You just got to like stop thinking about this and just, just like download more plugins and work faster is basically his MO. Now, he did that for his game, and the results spoke for itself pretty much. It was a mediocre. Game was average, mixed reviews, bad sales. It actually did kind of decently, even though they didn't put any effort into marketing it. But that studio doesn't exist anymore, and you guys have never heard of it, and you never will. And I bring that up this isn't like a thing where I'm trying to put them down. This is a cautionary tale, and this is why this story is so important to me. I don't like look down on them or anything. It's just interesting because I knew this guy pretty well. I was really close with him, and I could see what was going on in his head while this was all happening. And I noticed that every moment I would bring up some of these things, when he would use this word like, "Oh, you're overthinking something," that's subversion as well, right? And I remember for the longest time I listened to him, and I'm like, "Oh, you're right. I will stop thinking." And if you think about it, if you're ever in the position where you even have to say that sentence, you've lost, okay? Like, think about that. It's like, okay, I'm doing the right thing by not thinking. Does that sound correct? I don't know, man. Like, at the time, I was like, oh, well, because I was kind of an anxious wreck at the time. And I was like, oh, well, that sounds comfortable. It sounds soothing. My angel on my shoulder is telling me I just need to think less. I don't know, fine. But this guy, man, he underthought his whole project, and it failed because he just didn't think. He was literally just rushing through everything, spaghetti coding everything, recoding everything 5 times. And I'm not making this up either, because they would tell me this, and his programmer would tell me this. They redid every system. That's 80% of the development time was redoing code because it was so bad. And it's like, then they released it and it didn't do well, and they were surprised. They actually didn't they were surprised. And it's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? You weren't thinking. You kept telling me all the time I was overthinking because I said, hey, man, you're launching in 2 weeks. You should start telling people. And it's like, no, we don't have to do that. It'll market itself. Didn't market itself. And I kept telling them, shouldn't you be thinking about this? Shouldn't you be thinking about this? And it's like, no, Ray, you're overthinking. And what happened? Well, they failed, and they don't exist anymore. So that's how I know that's how I know that they were on the side of subversion, because they weren't just subverting me. They weren't doing it on purpose, by the way. This isn't like, I'm sure they weren't doing this on purpose. I think it's because they were subverting themselves. Because thinking is actually a lot of work. You actually have to put in effort to have good thoughts. And these guys did not want to do that. They wanted to spend every evening watching The Boys instead. So they never really wanted to think. They always just wanted to be distracted by video games and TV shows. And whenever I'd ask them this stuff, they'd always just dismiss it. But I think the reason they were self-soothing themselves with novelty all the time while they were supposed to be doing this game, I think the reason is because they were so terrified of their own project that it wouldn't do well. And they were so scared and unconfident that instead of actually thinking about things, even the scary things that are really hard, that are scary to think about, instead it's like, well, I'm just going to turn off my brain and I'm going to go watch Daredevil tonight. And I'm going to go play Apex Legends for 4 hours so I can drown out all the thoughts I should be thinking about. I'm just going to drown all of that out. And then, well, I didn't overthink it, so it must be fine. It's like, well, no, because those were all opportunities you could have had to have not had this be a flop that you missed because you were afraid. That's what I see it. Now, again, I know this sounds harsh. This isn't meant to be some kind of like moral judgment. This is just something I've noticed. These are the thoughts I have when I overthink, okay? And I think these are things that are really important that I think should be thought about. So if this is you, I don't know who's watching this. I don't know if this is you right now in your project. Maybe it is. Maybe that's something you ought to think about. Maybe there's something that you know is going to be a problem for you in your game that you are too afraid to think about right now. And you just want to blanket it with, oh, well, it's just overthinking. Therefore, it doesn't matter. And it's like, no. The reason you're anxious in the first place is because you know that it matters. You know it matters. Your body is telling you it matters. You just have to actually like grow a pair and think about it. You can't be afraid. Basically. You have to fear, doubt, disbelief. Got to let it all go. That's what Morpheus says, right? That's what you got to do. So anyway, that's my big rant about overthinking. If anyone ever tells you that you're overthinking, they're your enemy, okay? You don't listen to them. They are just subverting themselves and you in the process. That's been my experience. So, because, when you actually dig, because of the stuff this guy was trying to ape, he was trying to basically copy Half-Life. But when you actually look at Half-Life, they overthought the hell out of that thing, okay? When you actually really investigate how Half-Life was made, they thought a lot. They really thought about that, which is why it's a classic. That's why people still care about Half-Life. You don't make Half-Life by telling all your teammates to stop overthinking. No, you encourage them to think about what they think they ought to be thinking about. That's probably how they were able to solve all that, because they were, they were not just thinking, but they were thinking and working and vigilant. And because they were doing so much thinking, so much noticing, they probably... That's why, Left 4 Dead, right? That's same studio, Valve, very detailed. A lot of people praise just the amount of, the zombie animations, and it's changes depending on where you hit them. You know how you would have made Left 4 Dead a flop if the guy that had that idea of what if we made it so that, the entire swarm of zombies is its own character and it has this advanced AI and it reacts to what you do. Imagine if you told that programmer, oh, nah, bro, you're overthinking it. Just do the bare minimum. What do you think would have happened? The thing is, we know you would have got Back 4 Blood. That's what happens. We actually have seen the timeline of what happens. You get Back 4 Blood that's just average, where no one is thinking, and it's just, we're just going to copy Left 4 Dead, and it'll be fine. We'll say that we're the same guys that made Left 4 Dead. Therefore, we'll sell, and we'll look what happened, right? So I know this sounds harsh, but this is what happens when you start noticing, okay? You got to ditch the smartphone. You got to ditch social media. You just start noticing, all right? You start noticing these things happening everywhere. And that's why you should never give in to someone telling you you're overthinking. That's my conclusion. It's probably because you actually are thinking the right amount. It's just someone wants to stop you from thinking. Anyway. Verdoc says, reminds me of a certain submarine where they thought they didn't have to think about safety. Oh man, I don't really follow submarine lore, so I don't know which submarine it is, but it sounds like that didn't go so well, judging from that message. Apex says, to quote certain theme song, don't blink, don't think, just go. We overthink because we refuse to live life on autopilot, says Cybershell. Yeah, man. Well, I have noticed, Cybershell, that you tend to the messages you tend to write in this chat, I've noticed, tend to be quite thoughtful. So that's how I know you're a thinker. You're a noticer. What dumb phone am I using? Oh, sorry, my mouse just ran out of battery. Good question. The phone I'm using is let me try and read it. Hold on. Let me just plug in my mouse, because I'm gonna full screen this, you can see it, but my mouse has just run out of battery. I'll show you. I had to get a specific model because there's not a big market for flip phones in Australia. It's like kind of a mix between a dumb and smartphone, to be more specific. It's not fully dumb, but it's not fully smart. It's the right amount. And to get what I needed, I had to do a Nick Robinson and go to Japan. Not physically, but I had to search the lands of Japan for a certain model that did what I needed. All right, plugged in. Let's get I think it's this keybind that gets me my camera. Oh, my mouse is still not working. What's going on? Hello? Mouse, please work. There we go. Did that change to my... Hold on. Did that change to my thing? To my... oh, no, it didn't. I think it's this key. Hey, there we go. Got it. So I got the... this is what I picked up. It's the... I don't know how to pronounce it. Hold on. Kyocera Digno 3. And it's got a cool little display on it. It's pretty cool. It's very aesthetic, very cool. I think it runs Android. So I can still use the train app on it, so I can check train timetables and stuff, which is kind of the only thing I really needed from my old phone. And it does like offline maps. I think the navigation's horrible though. It's terrible, but it's like bare minimum, it barely functions. But yeah, so it's like pretty slim. It's got USB-C, so I didn't have to buy new cables. Very cool. And here's the UI. It's literally just like an old Sony Ericsson, but slightly higher res, pretty much. Now it says it's got YouTube here. I tried it. This is a mistake. I tried installing YouTube, but the app literally doesn't work. It just crashes. So I'm going to have to delete that. But it's actually, dude, it changed my life. I know everyone makes these videos. They're like, oh, I bought a smartphone and it changed my life. But it actually did. Okay, I'm no cap. Okay, I'm not capping, chat. It is real. It did change a lot. So I recommend if you're a game dev or a creator, you gotta downgrade. You gotta do the dumb phones, and you gotta get a Windows Pentium computer. All right, trust me, it'll be amazing. Futuristic, yeah, kind of weirdly enough, because I don't even know how old. Like this is you can see it's got like scratches and because this is pre-owned. So this is like someone else is like, this has lived a whole life before I've owned it. I don't even know how old the thing is. I have no idea when they started making these, but it works. So, you know, but like, yeah, it's cool because it's weirdly enough, it could be 10 years old for all I know, but it's like feels more futuristic than most phones do now. It's pretty cool. So, you know, but that's like, there's so many little things that change when you don't have constant temptation around you. When you don't have a constant portal into the sum of human knowledge that you don't need right now, when you don't have that, weirdly enough, everything becomes so much simpler and clairvoyant. And that's how I know with this dude I was talking about, this game dev guy, that's how I know, because he was on TikTok all the time, man. And it's like, no, you can't be on TikTok trying to make a game. Can't do it. Like he'd always be telling me about. And then he had this, he was with someone that was like heavily addicted to TikTok that would always be like sending him like, check out this meme. And it's like some YouTube short or something. It's like that stuff, you just got to just cut it out. There's like one friend I will tolerate that from, but no one else. I just don't check it. That's the cool thing is that this doesn't have like notifications. So I literally, if I actually care to see what people are saying to me, I have to make the choice myself to go and check my messages. So I usually have a certain time of the day where I do that. Instead of like being interrupted when I'm in the middle of something with a sound, it's like, no, I decide when I'm checking my messages. And it's like at a certain time, like maybe once a week, I'll like check them. And dude, it's so, oh my God, man, it's so nice. It's actually kind of made me want to go back to like just using email for more things. I'm trying to like convince all my friends to like delete Facebook and just go to email. That's how much of a boomer I am right now. But dude, it's amazing. It's so good. Gus says that's exactly the thing I've wanted for years. Well, yeah, man, that's good. There's like heaps of like different variants of this. I think I just got whatever was cheapest that like did what I needed it to, and yeah, it was some Japanese reseller site somewhere. I don't know. It's supposed to come with like a charging dock, but it didn't. So you know, I just like plug it into my wall I don't have a cool dock for it or anything. So I just plug it into the wall like every couple days. But it's oh my God, man, it's life changing. Actually, maybe I should make a video on that. Game dev lifestyle video. That'd be cool. That'd be kind of cool. Strawberry says, might be mistaken, but isn't that kind of like Buddhism? Maybe. I don't know. I don't really know much about Buddhism, but I would call it it's a bit like, what would you call it? Spiritual discipline in general, which I think would be a key component of any religion, I'd imagine. Maybe, I guess Buddhism maybe as well. I'd imagine that any religion would probably have this as a good thing in the rules somewhere. Even, I know that Christianity has something like that too. Lead us not into temptation. What do you think that big screen, because the screens on these phones, man, are so big. That is basically a big portal leading you into temptation. And I remember specifically there's some like Christian prayer that's like, lead us not into temptation or something. So I don't know. It's probably a thing in like any value system beyond just Buddhism. But yeah, just being like a spiritual boomer, as I like to call it. Dell Vision says, if it wasn't for Facebook Market, I would have uninstalled by now. I've like used Facebook Marketplace once, and then I use it for this like one group of friends, and that's like it really. But I've actually been like, for the last week I've been thinking, oh, it's got to go. I think I just got to get out of it. Got to give it the axe. Is Raymond becoming Amish? Yeah, pretty much, man. But I don't know, man. The Amish are onto something. I think they're onto it. You know, the Amish, they'd make a pretty good game. If someone made an Amish game studio, they'd do pretty good, I think. But yeah, if any of you have thought about doing that, I would, like, seriously, stop putting it off. You have to do it now. This is my homework for you. This week is to sell your phone and buy a flip phone. Or it doesn't have to be a flip phone. Just anything that is inconvenient. Because that's the thing. Technically, this does have smart features on it. I can browse. It has a web browser, okay? I can browse the web, but it's so slow and that drains the battery so much and it's such a pain that I might as well not bother. Like, it's just not worth it unless you really need it. So, you know, if I'm in an emergency situation where I need to look up how to do CPR or something, I could do it, but it would be so inconvenient that I could only do what I needed it to. So, you know, if I ever want to look up something, it's like, well, all right, I have to, because the keyboard, such a pain, but it's good. I like that it's a pain to use because it's like, oh, if I want to search up, you know, what's something that people search up nowadays? Freaking like Skibbity Riz. If I wanted to search up Skibbity Riz, I have to painstakingly type in that with this keyboard. And it's like, well, and then I'm there typing, and it's like, well, actually, because now I'm thinking, I'm overthinking now. It's like, oh, well, should I really be looking this up? Like, oh, I have to type in all this. Now I have to, like, press the S button 3 times to get to the letter. And that's so much time to overthink, and go, oh, do I really need to look this up? And then my brain will go, no. And then I don't do it. And it's like, dude, I'm telling you, man, that one little difference, big results, okay? Small change, big results. Massive results. Admiral says, I knew a dude that has a Cat brand flip phone. I did look those up in my research. I think those are like the high-end ones. I've heard they're pretty good. They have touch. They're basically like the if you really can't handle a radical lifestyle change, which, you know, not everyone wants to do that. If you still want to have like fast apps and a touchscreen, I know that the Cat phones do that. So that's a good option if you want to just try the form factor out. But I think they are one of the most expensive ones, I think. But yeah, they have like all the smart features that you can go on Instagram and everything, but it's like a flip form factor. And they're quite sturdy, I've heard. But yeah, I wanted something a bit dumber. I wanted something that didn't have any touch or anything like that. So I went with this Japanese one. So it's not as stylish as the Cat, but I like it. It looks cool. Varrock says, I'd say it's not good to be part of one or the extreme, but I do agree that people doom scrolling YouTube shorts is a problem. Yes, dude, I very much do agree. It's not even just YouTube, man. It's everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, everything. I never really was that much into it, but you know, when I'm on the bus, I'm looking around and it's like, oh, what's wrong? Old man yells at cloud. That's me. So, you know, because when you're not scrolling, to go back to the initial question that led to this whole conversation, what's your approach? This is just to anything, but the question was to storytelling, but this applies to everything. You got to like leave your brain room to actually think about what it's doing. You can't fill it with junk. So that's like anything you can do to like not subvert your brain. Because in a way, maybe that's what it is. Like that theme I was all talking about with subversion, is a smartphone not the same thing? You know, because if you think about it, I want to look at an Instagram reel, do you honestly, you don't really want to do that. You're doing it because you have a habit. You don't actually want to. So, you know, that's the algorithm. That's kind of why I wanted to make my website, because a lot of the sites now, it's like the whole point of the infrastructure is to subvert you into making a choice you wouldn't choose. Like, no one is choosing to doom scroll for 10 hours. No one is making that, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to deliberately choose to spend 10 hours scroll. Like, no one is choosing that, but they do it out of habit. And that's by design. And that's why I don't like it. I don't like it. You gotta exercise intentionality. Like Gabby would do. Like I did building Gabby, like I've done making my videos and my website. Intentionality. That's the enemy of subversion. Maybe that's a cool catchphrase. The enemy of subversion is intent. I don't know. Does that make any? I don't know if that makes any sense, but that sounds cool when I say it. But I don't know. That's kind of all I wanted to really say. That's my big rant. That's my progress for this week. So yeah, my homework for you: just chuck the phone out. Don't even buy the new phone yet. Just chuck the first phone out immediately, and then and use your computer to, like old people used to do. They used to browse the web on their computer. You're gonna use your computer to shop for a pre-owned phone that does the bare minimum. That's my homework for you. And stop watching Amazon Prime. That's my second bonus task. And that's what I will leave you with. So thanks for joining me for another check-in this week. I hope I was able to at least share some insightful things. If you want to support, because this video I'm doing on devlog, what's it called? The Gabby model devlog. If you want to support the making of the episode, it's a big one, and I do need all the help I can get, because ad revenue only pays so much. Consider supporting me on Patreon or checking out the merch down below. If you want to see all the posts I've already written about Gabby's model, I do have those available on Patreon for the cheapest tier. So check that out if you are so inclined. And I guess, this information I've given you is so valuable. You really should pay that forward anyway. But until then, I will see you guys next week for more progress on the site and the video. And I'm pretty excited to put that site up real soon. So we'll see where we get to by next time. So I'll see you then.